Pewter is about possibilities. It is an idea made real. Crafted with precision. It can make tradition timeless. Pewter evolves. When allowed to be free, it can captivate you. Pewter is our legacy, and we're keeping the legacy alive. Royal Selangor, since 1885.
To a very special Friday, the 13th here today at the ERGP. My name is Victor Cax. Joining me here is Ammo, and hopefully it's gonna be a fun day, isn't it?
Hopefully it'll be a lucky day for some.
lucky for anyone named Jason, I suppose, on this very blessed day itself. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're having our third round of our Global Edition number 16. We're gonna be off to the races real soon, but let's give you guys a bit of a recap of what we've been up to on this end of the year. So we started off GE16 with our first two rounds in America, starting with Road America and Watkins Glen. Today, we're going to be taking a little break through the European mountainsides here as we go to Spa Francorchamps. So this is going to be our third round for the season, and so far it's been a pretty hectic season to say the least, isn't it?
Absolutely. To say the least, because we saw some really good battles throughout all the classes, but there are some caveats to that, where there have been a few instances where some drivers are not happy with how their seasons panned out. So hopefully, after a very passionate driver briefing that we had prior to this off air, we might just have got some sense into the drivers here to just have a good, fun, clean race.
Well,
but knock on wood, it's Friday the 13th. We need rabbit's foot, we need four-leaf clovers, we need horseshoes, everything.
We'll need all the talismans out in here in round number 3. So let's go ahead and have a look at right now where things stand after 2 rounds. So for the gold class, Roy Namer Ripper Rip holds the highest amount of points here. In silver class, Muhammad Fauzul Alim still remains the leader in his class. Muhammad Shakir Fitri takes the lead in bronze class, and Ethan Lau, the upstanding 14-year-old, has taken the lead in the copper class. So we see plenty of newcomers in the front of our packs, but it's great to see Muhammad Fauzul Alim continue to hold the Sri Lankan flag here in the silver class.
Absolutely, much to the rejoice of the island nation. They will definitely be rooting him on, and certainly some of the other drivers who are from Sri Lanka in the chat. As Shakir Fitri, a rookie in this championship, he is happy to be leading the way, but he'll have some really stiff challenge because bronze, as we always say, they have gone out to the wire. And Ethan Lowe, the young sensation from St. Michael's Institution in Ipoh Perak, he will be one to watch out for him in copper.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and look at some of the other standings we have here. For the Teams Cup, so far, Pepega Racing Team has taken the lead from Handshake's Sim Racing from yesterday's round, from last week itself. So it's only a slight lead, to be fair. So Handshake Racing certainly will be looking to try to regain their top spot here in the Teams Cup. So that will be something exciting to see, given the number of participants we have from both of those squads from Malaysia.
Indeed, and Sim Racing Lanka, don't discount them out either. They have a huge representation of drivers in that squad in third. But you can see there, only just about 64 points separating first to fifth. Even passionate out of this, though. It is really fun to see how the team standings play out. We never had that much interest in this one because normally it's just one team running. And in the Nations Cup, there's a bit of change as well in how that has played out in terms of dynamics, because last season we had Malaysia being dethroned, but this season they are actually back at the front here by just a handful of points in front of Indonesia. So that will be one to watch out for as well. All the standings in all the classes and championships are coming to the fore here. So really a great season at hand, and we're only just past the halfway point. So after this, it'll be squeaky bum time. As you can see, the nation standing now pop up on screen. Well, I say handful of points is 100, but again, just enough to lead away, but you never know how things can change on its head in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, that's also the other thing here. It's that the amount of participation we have from Malaysian clubs in this GE16 has been really high. But not to forget as well, our fellow mates from Sri Lanka and the Philippines also pretty competitive for that third spot in Nations Cup. So that will also be another story to follow as GE16 comes to a close later on this month. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and give you guys an introduction to what we have here in round number 3. We're going to circuit the Francorchamps up in the high hills of Belgium, 7 kilometers long. That's because this is a very, very fast track and a legendary one at that. So it's going to be a very interesting one to see for our brand new drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, but for those who have actually been sim racing a long time, they will find it familiar. But in this instance, some of those new guys might find it a bit difficult to race against some of the other guys. I remember we did say just now how the race stewards have actually given a stern 1-2s to all the drivers and say be careful. So
yeah,
that's how we're gonna face it. Turn 1 La Source may be the point of contention, but the rest of the way it's fast and flowing, and there's plenty of run-up, especially given the fact that we're running the brand new revamped version of the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps that was introduced quite recently.
That's also with the sand trap on La Source, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So
and the EWC layout, the motorbike layout, has been introduced recently, so we have a lot of modifications. But that out of the way, we also have one last piece of information to give to you. What we have this season is the same as the last season, the class of cars that we have from gold, silver, bronze, and copper, and it's proving to be quite popular. That's why the participation levels have been through the roof.
Exactly, and it's great to have found ourselves a great selection of cars to use in the global edition here. So going forwards, you know, barring any kind of changes in real life, I think we'll probably be staying with this for quite a bit. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and have a look now at our first race of the day. It's going to be starting with the copper class. Ethan Lau, as we have said, he is currently in the lead in the driver's standings here. Nimesh Dean follows very closely behind him with only 6 points, and Randy Goh follows behind at 1 point. So even though Ethan Lau has already successfully taken the lead now after round number 2, I would still say it's still quite a championship for him to defend at this point, because everyone else, I mean, knowing how the copper cars are all very close in terms of pace, he's definitely going to have to work really hard here to keep this lead if he wants to keep it by the end of this global edition.
Definitely, and again, a 14-year-old handling the situation. We've seen it all before, especially just in the endurance edition, how Dylan Tyne managed to hold his nerve against Tasby in the 4th round at Silverstone. Again, we know that youngsters can actually put it up against the best of the best, but for Ethan, this is a completely different kettle of fish, because we know that he's a known quantity, especially after he came through the GR Tour in TGR GT Cup Malaysia, but in another a very international field, amongst other things, and different cars, can he handle the pressure of a championship fight? We'll wait and see how that goes, but for now, he's actually gotten 5 points in his pocket, because he's 0.8 of a second ahead of Iga Yudhistira with the best of the Sri Lankans right now, because we see a lot of flags in the YouTube comment section. We haven't seen much in the Facebook yet. For those who are really waiting to watch out for their best boys, well, Rani the Karuratne is now P6, 4/10 behind P5, which is Faiz Badriawan. He'll start, I don't know if he's dropped now even further to P7, but hopefully man on here. As for the Indonesians, well, we got Iga Yudhistira up in 2nd place behind Ethan Lowe, with Eric Chandra in 3rd place for the, I think if I'm not mistaken, the HM engineering team. So yes, another known community in Indonesia. As you said earlier, communities are plenty here. But for now, 0.8 of a second, can anyone catch Ethan Lowe?
It's so fun, like looking at the YouTube chat, a number of supporters coming here from, I'm assuming Sim Racing Lanka inside the chat right now, cheering on their fellow countrymen. We also got Zaini also cheering on his fellow Indonesians as well. So thank you all for joining us on this special occasion this Friday. So as we ride on board right now, Ethan Lau. As he's going off again for another run here. I think there are some drivers who didn't quite beat the clock, so those drivers unfortunately will be out of qualifying. That's where you see the checker flags already out for some of these, and that means that's already the end of qualifying for them. But not for Ethan Lau though, even though he has already qualified 0.8 of a second faster than Yudhishthira, still has another he still has another lap to go here, having beat the clock to the line.
Yeah, he's coming through Blanchimont now into the second to last corner as we are waiting for him to cross the line and see if he can improve. If he gets to 28s, that will just beat the stuffings out of the rest of the field because he's way ahead right now. 0.8 of a second. He's proven to be quite good in this class, and his championship rival right now, the 1.3 seconds faster than the rest of the field. Well, as they say, beat that.
Well, there's certainly a lot more challengers who will be attempting that for sure. Yudhishthira still in second place as he comes across, so he's pretty much done, I think, here.
He's improved. He's 7/10 behind, so he's got the 29s. Rest of the field then finds Majawa in third place. Yeah, he dropped because of Yudhishthira's improvement. Eric Chandra fourth, so we got Indonesian second, third, and fourth behind the low Malaysian and the first. No, in fact, that's not Indonesia. I thought it was the Sri Lankan Yahya Sanwaji, who is in P5. So that's your top 5, and then there's another Indonesian and another Indonesian. Ooh. There's 5 Indonesians in a row behind the Malaysian. Don't make that 6, because there we go. Adiasha Rizky Gunawan, who was quite the surprise package last time out in round 2. He's up to P8. 9th is Ranidu Karuaratne, who is from Sri Lanka. That's the first of the Sri Lankan entries. And 10th, Steven Aris, yeah, another Indonesian. So Indonesians are ruling the roost there in the top 10, but they didn't get the golden position up in front, which is held by a Malaysian currently.
Well, I mean, if you go by just probabilities alone, like, there's a high chance an Indonesia might be competing for a place on the podium, for sure. But of course, when it comes to pole position, it's always about that start. And in this case, you know, especially doing briefing earlier on today, there was a lot of reminders about keeping the start clean. And Spa Francorchamps in particular, it's a really wide track. So I suppose if drivers are pretty cognizant about their situational awareness, should be able to get through La Source pretty scot-free. Though that's still, again, still remains to be seen in any case, because it's always things can always change, especially during race starts like these. So
indeed,
that is the end of qualifying. Now we're going to be awaiting ourselves the server to reset here so we can get our drivers up on the grid. Ethan Lau still stays in pole position here. I mean, almost an unassailable time, I think, and that could be, again, we're using a track here that has been in AC since the very start of the game itself. So Ethan Lau, no doubt, should be very, very familiar with this track. Even if he isn't familiar with this particular version of the track, there's been plenty of representations of Spa, you know, all across multiple games and multiple platforms.
Indeed, from the F1 games to, well, here iRacing. He's played a bit of iRacing as well. The key point to note, though, this is a completely different version in terms of runoffs, but the base track is still the same, so it should have the same feeling. It's just that we have grass on the outside after La Source on the way to Eau Rouge and Radion, and they have big runoffs there. So hopefully we don't get the situation where a car bounces off the wall and goes onto the track and just causes a big pile up afterwards.
Yeah, I think most drivers will be, like, if not turn 1, they'll also be very worried about Eau Rouge, because that's where everyone's going to be gunning downhill, reaching their maximum speed by the time they hit the very bottom of Eau Rouge. So that will be one place, especially I could think of, that could potentially cause another pileup in this copper class. But all the drivers are now lining up on the grid here. We got everyone also getting themselves lined up inside the YouTube chat, so that's also very fun to see. And of course, for all of the drivers right now, I mean, we're already past. This is literally already going into the second half, as it were, of GE16. So most of these drivers already know where more or less they stand in terms of points. Now it's just a matter of how can they improve or maintain their standings, as it were.
Indeed. And of course, after this, we have drop scores counted. Now, this is Cliff Mononutu at the back, but up in front, Ethan Lau will be the one to watch out for the lights here, as we're going to get underway pretty soon. We still can't find where he is. Now there he is.
There we go. Red lights are on. And we are off for our first race of the night. The copper class of GE16, already a bit of chaos as cars are clattering into the wall in the background. But the front row is still coming in. Single file line. Yudhishthira, though, beats Ethan Lau through the apex. So he's trying to take the lead away from him from the start. Already some cars are spun around in the background as all of them are piling through Lost Source right now. I think I see a bit of a pile-up going on behind while our front runners are continuing on into Eau Rouge and up through Radion now. Ethan Lau is back in the lead here, having dispatched Yudhishthira. Even Eric Chandra has been able to get in front of the Indonesian as well.
Yeah, I thought for a second that Yudhishthira might have gotten the job done, but he ran it a bit wide coming through the source, and now he has all the work to do here as they come up through the Camel Straight for the first time. He's got cars on the inside and outside. Where is Satria? He's further behind. So he manages to reclaim second place where he started, but for Ethan Lau, that's the sort of start that he wants, because the more that the guys are fighting, the more that he can actually scamper away early doors.
Exactly. Yudhishthira really is just trying to recover back right now. That's allowed Ethan Lau to build up a huge advantage now at the very beginning, even before the end of this first lap. Eric Satcher, in the meantime, stuck behind Eric Chandra right now, looking to see if we can find an opportunity here through No Name. I don't think that's going to be an opportunity quite there yet. So now we come towards Puhan, one of the faster left-hand bends here on the Francorchamps circuit. Definitely one where you really have to rely on your mechanical grip here just to stay on the track and just still maintain a high top speed through here. These top four guys are doing pretty well. Eric Satcher, in fact, is already getting a good draft onto Chandra as they were going through there, though he had to brake inevitably before this next chicane.
And a couple of positions switching behind between Indonesians as well. Yahya Sanwaji and Pratama Aji in the Philip Morris colored car. Well, that's quite a nice touch, because we had that also in the Endurance Edition. But yeah, quite a few people are sporting some iconic colors back in the day. And the battles are still on all the way through. We will get back out to the front because we want to see where is everybody at. And speaking of which, this is one guy that we were featuring on our social media pages. If you look in the in-car camera, it might look smooth, but this guy is actually on a phone.
Yeah, Dizen Hong from Handshake Racing Malaysia. He, instead of using a steering wheel, he actually uses a phone connected to Bluetooth, and he's not exactly using the gyro to steer. Oh no, he's actually using his thumbs on the touchscreen in order to get the input done. Oh, as we're calling, cutting across the track there. Dizen Hong was able to dodge him just in time, but had to go through the runoff area there. Oh, that looked a little bit too close for comfort, but he managed to get through anyway and gets into the bus stop.
Yeah, that was actually quite a, shall we say, brown trousers moment. Yeah, you really have to clench your cheeks when you go through something like that. But luckily, though, nothing major happened. But something happened to Ezra Collin. He was somewhere in that middle of that top 15. Now Tizen Hong actually holds 1 point here, so the guys will be happy unless because something happens there.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's very close.
Looked like it was opening that way too wide. They're trying to go for that late apex because, again, true La Source, you want to get the good exit here because right next to it, it's just a downhill affair all the way to Eau Rouge. So you want to already get your maximum acceleration out of La Source in order to be able to maximize your speed on the main straight. I was going to say the longest straight here on the Spa-Francorchamps.
Camel Straight, yep. But luckily, Ezra Collin managed to get it stopped in time as we now see further changes for position further up in that top 15. We saw just now Cliff Mononutu, who was right at the back, and he's actually from Indonesia, but he's driving with the Fijian flag, if I was taken. So quite a lot of drivers are taking different flags this time. And I think that's either Fiji or, yeah, it might be Fiji. But what if it is? Mononutu made a good start all the way from the back to go out to P12. That's almost Charles Leclerc like in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where he was right at the back and managed to make it up to the top 10 in one lap. But in this case, just outside the top 10 here. But remember, first place gets all 25 points. But if you finish 10th here, you will be first place for the reverse grid start. So that will be the main goal for some of these guys. Clip Mononutu we're looking at from the onboard of Umar Mokhtar. And in front of Mononutu is Asher Shako, a teammate to Mokhtar. So right now, he's the one that's holding P11 here, trying to catch after Aditya Nugroho from Indonesia as well. So quite a little train forming here, but Nugroho has a comfortable position, a bit of a buffer, shall we say, about 2 seconds right now. So if he holds that, he'll be in pole for the second race.
Exactly. So that's going to be the exciting thing to watch here, as we're only 10 minutes away from the end of this race, and already some of these drivers are sizing up their opportunities, but it has to be for the long haul here, unfortunately. And again, given that we are running GT4 cars here on Spa, really the only place to overtake is right here. This bus stop chicane going onto the main start-finish straight and into La Source. Those are the only sort of heartbreaking points on this track, and that's pretty much where these GT4 cars are going to be slow enough that you're going to be able to think about making an overtake or a pass. On the rest of the track, though, it's very much a fast affair, so unless you got the horsepower for it, it's going to be pretty hard.
Yeah, we have a retirement already. That's not shown on the screen, but we can see it from our monitors that Donny Sadewa, the driver who bottled it big time last time out when he was on the podium, finishing a bit too early. He finishes way earlier this time. 9.5 minutes left to go, but probably because of damage or something happened there, because we did see a car right at the back. That might have been Sadewa, but unfortunately for him, his race ends early.
Hold that thought. Eric Satra getting a good draft onto Eric Chandra on the Camel Straight. They will be side by side, with Eric Satra having to take the outside on the next turn, though. Could be a crucial one here for Eric, because he's feeling the podium position, but Eric Chandra fights back on the inside. Eric Satra tries to stay alongside and elbows him out of the way there to stay on the podium.
Oh, you can see Eric was flashing his lights there from the helicopter view. He was not happy with that. I think it was just a slight time. It's just those kind of things that happen. But if Eric can keep his head, he might just be able to get back into the rear end of his fellow Indonesian, because both Erics, driving for different teams, but still they're just committing some civil war right there. So what happened to T Zen Hong? He dropped a couple of positions, and in fact, you can see further behind, that's actually one of these Sri Lankans that we saw just now in the top 10, Ranidu Karunaratne, who's actually dropped it off at Lake Combe.
Oh, that's such a shame. Also kind of a massive recovery here. They want to even have a hope of getting a single point right now in race number 1, and he's continuing to try to race against Sean around the outside. Couldn't quite get himself in position, so he tucks in behind here. Nevertheless, on the rest of the grid so far, most of these drivers are still hanging within a 2/10 of a second off of each other right now. We're on board here with Sean. Oh, trying very hard here to keep the Sri Lankan behind, but Karan Ratne still trying very hard here to stay alongside, but we already have Stephen Aris already fighting him for the same position as well. Ranidu now attempting to stay ahead of Stephen Aris right now. I'm not sure how long he can hang on here, and Sean is now bottling the three of them, making this kind of an exciting bit of racing, even though it's quite far out the points.
Yeah, but in this case, we might have to jump back up to the front, because
there we go.
There's a tight one. Adiansa Rizky Gunawan, Yahya Sanwaji, and Fariza Ali Shadani. And these are guys from completely different teams racing each other. And again, in the thick of it is M92 and JPRT involved in this particular battle. So most of the Indonesian teams are really happy to be involved in this one, and they'll be loving to take the points, but not off each other.
Yeah, so very much going in the single file line now down into Eau Rouge. The three Indonesians now fighting for 5th place here. As Gunawan leads the pack of cars through Eau Rouge. Now up to Radion. Very tricky to stay within track limits through here. I think that might be a little bit off of track limits there for Fareza, maybe.
Yeah, not sure, because again, you can cut some areas on this circuit, and the top of the Radion may just be fair game in some instances. Though again, if you see them slowing, you know that they've cut the track somewhere. So here comes Gunawan on the inside. Sanuaje, oh no!
Ooh.
A second straight lap we see, and M92 got out of the way, and he barges Shadani as well. So that's a bit of a RG Bachi moment, and Badria one comes through. So this is civil war between Indonesians.
Oh my goodness. More Indonesians joining the mix now as Yahya now trying to dive into the inside here of Badria 1. Badria 1 still able to hold enough speed though, so he will be able to defend through no-name corner, and Zanuaji now cutting just in front of Shadani. in order to stay in 7th place here. Pratama Aji is following behind. He gets a bit of a draft out of No Name. Now he's going to try to take the inside on Puhan. Can be a tricky one to go side by side here. Shandani takes around the outside. Still, oh, he goes way a little bit wide off the track, while the whole time Pratama Aji is holding onto the inside curb, but they still come up side by side.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? For these cars that have not that much error compared to his road-going counterparts, but he can still afford to race side by side there. And again, slow cars provide good racing. But for IG, that slow moment was enough to let Shadani get the position back. And to his detriment, has allowed Aditya Nugroho to get out to the back of him and Cliff Mononotu. So, again, Indonesians are left, right, and center. Despite the Fijian flag you see there, that is an Indonesian chasing. So, he is in the points, but how he would love to actually beat up in front here, because P10 will be pole position for this second race.
Exactly. That's, I think, more the target here. In the meantime, I think Sunoaji and Bajra 1 are still going side by side right now. Two of them still clattering, still hopefully not to clatter each other going to the bus stop. Sunoaji is going to take the wider line to try to cut into the apex. Ooh. Nice cut off there. You want to stay in 6th place. Bajra 1 just has to tuck in behind on the main straight. Now he's going to try to get alongside here on La Source, but doesn't quite have the exit speed necessary, and you can see Shadani behind, just eyeing up an opportunity here as Bajra 1 goes for the dive, through La Source. Yaya has to leave a little bit of space there, but just about enough to stay on the track and to stay alongside Sunoaji there. Sunoaji and both of them will still be chasing each other down to Overreach. Look at that side by side as we ride aboard with Shadani.
Yeah, we're coming through Rujit right now. Looks like Bajra 1 had to give that up because he knows full well if they go side by side, somebody will clutch the short straw. Oh. It looks as though Bajra 1 might have clutched the short straw there. Yeah,
he has slid a little bit going up Radion, so this is the opportunity now for Shadani to get alongside on the Camel Straight. Next turn is going to be coming up. Shadani is going to be taking the outside, but he knows that as long as he can maintain lots of good speed through this corner, he would be able to fight on the next one there, but unfortunately, couldn't quite outbreak Faiz there.
Yeah, around the outside. It's a bit of fanciful thinking, isn't it? If you're lucky, you get enough for the drive, maybe, but that time around, he just didn't even have a nose in front, so he'll have to regroup here. But they do not want to throw away some precious points because, again, they're in the top 15, and they're in when they start the second race of the day after this, as more and more battles are going through. In fact, Mononotu is right up behind Aji, and he might be thinking of coming through Puhon here. Let's see if he tries it, and Aji might run wide, because there you go. He outbraked himself, and he just hook, line, and sinkered him. Just hung him up to dry.
That was just perfect, like, psychological execution right there. Pratama Aji, unfortunately, having to tuck behind Mononotu's car right now. But that was such a good move there of Pratama Aji's part, but again, he was trying to defend. He was trying to outbreak Cliff Mononotu going through Puon, but that's just perfect timing on Cliff's part in order to execute that move.
Yeah. Oh, unfortunately, he did it all wrong. He dumped it afterwards. Well, Vic, I think you might have actually just jinked him there.
Yeah, commentator's curse right there, ladies folks. So, and Umar Mokhtar as well, taking that opportunity to sneak in an extra position onto Cliff. So now the script's completely changed here. New challenger has entered the ring.
Yep, and this is also again for that coveted 10th place. Yes, it might just offer 6 points in here, but the 10th place will offer you up a golden ticket, just like going to the Wonka Chocolate Factory, to be up at the forefront for the second race and maybe try to make us some points afterwards. So this is why they're battling so hard.
Yeah, Umar is just, I think it's just contemplating right now whether he wants to go for that white chocolate or dark chocolate here. Because look at how aggressively he's breaking into these corners here. Like, practically every turn I've seen from him is kind of like attempting to dive Pratama, even though he's still very far ahead. And at least through the bus stop there, it looked like he was getting pretty close.
Yeah, but I think he's lost the feel there for a second because the exit wasn't as good, because he went in mid tight and he had to use a lot of steering lock to get the car through. But when he got back on the throttle, momentum was lost. So that's why he's not up to where he wants to be. So he'll have to find time at the rest of the track. Now then, 1.5 minutes left to go. Amazingly, a lot has happened in between us. Oh, there we go. Uh-oh. That's the battle we were looking for.
Yep.
It's Sanuaji and Gunawan. Gunawan got dumped there for P6, P5, and Sanuaji gets him around the outside through Lake Home.
Yeah, and Eric, as of right now, he's... Oh no, Uma Mokhtar cooked it as he was trying to get out. So that unfortunately landed him in the sand trap, and he's now dropped down to 13th place. So, I mean, that's good news, I suppose, for Cliff, because now he's back on track here to continue to fight for that 10th position, as right now we're on board with Shai Dunny, going head-to-head with Bajia 1 into Puan. Still can see Bajia 1 attempting to maintain some good speed, but I think he might break a little bit too much through there. So that's Lao Shadani now to close up onto him into this third sector.
Yeah, but again, Bajia 1 was quite aware of it the first time around when he tried to overtake on the inside, coming through Les Source that time. Now he's the one who's having to look behind here, as one guy pointed out, MV Sim Racing, saying that some of the liveries are great. Yeah, because the teams actually put in effort into making their own liveries, for it's easy to identify as opposed to using the stock Porsche factory livery that came with the car in question. So good on the teams. We need more and more drivers to put liveries after this. But
Yeah.
anyhow, Rayan Banigale, who's going to be racing in bronze after this, has put out a good point.
Yep.
Indonesians back into 10th.
Bajia 1 now trying to make a move against Gunawan. He takes onto the inside right here. Ooh, had to go a little bit wide, as you see both of the cars actually went wide. But Bajia 1 managed to get ahead of Gunawan that time into the bus stop chicane. Can he hold it though?
But meanwhile, across the line this time around, Ethan Lowe takes the victory. So there we go. Another win at the collection. He's in front of Yudhishthira and Satya. Where is the rest of the field going to come by? That's very close to behind.
Ooh.
Nugroho and Mononutu across the line. Just across the line ahead of Pratama Aji. But the thing is, it's Indonesians from 2nd all the way to 11th, would you believe it? So it's a sweep of all the positions. What a great finish. And for, where is Ethan Lowe right now? He's actually stopped on track. He will love to be there to just say, okay, I've done part 1 of the job, now trying to get a part 2. In fact, he's actually practicing in start for the 2nd race.
Oh, that's sensational. Like, we got a Malaysian to take the win in race number 1, but I think the Indonesians may have just put in a massive effort here to overtake the Malaysians, perhaps, when it comes to the Nations Cup. I mean, that's still a very close championship as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, 2nd all the way to 11, all Indonesian. That's a lot of points going to be going to that Nations Cup now.
Indeed, and the rest of the field now coming through. Well, we have to wait and see how that plays out in the championship standings in Nations, because how close it was last season with Indonesia going, taking away the crown that Malaysia had. Well, with the amount of drivers that they have here this season, can't wait to see how that will also affect the team's championship.
Indeed. So that's the end of race number 1 here for our Copper class. This is our Global Edition 16, round number 3 in Spa-Francorchamps. Ethan Lau has just picked up the win here in our first race. Then we're now going to be going into our second race, also a 15-minute long affair. This time around, we're going to be having a 10th place reverse grid. So that means Cliff Mononutu, who managed to beat Aji to the line here, has successfully secured for himself a pole position in race number 2.
Indeed. Oh, I just caught a glimpse of a Project Mu livery there. I'm not sure whose one is that. But yes, we did allude to earlier how that battle for P10 turned out to be the most aggressively fought and intense of the entire field. Is now paying dividends for some drivers. And in this case, Cliff Mononutu will be the one reaping the rewards. He'll be starting up in pole position when race 2 comes around.
That's right. So as we get ourselves set up a little bit to await the start of race number 2. That's the thing. Like, for Ethan Lau now, he's going to be starting from 10th place. He's going to have all Indonesians in front of him. And it's going to be quite a struggle, I think, seeing how fast these drivers have been in the first race itself.
Yeah, but I think based on what the pace that he showed from the word go, he has been the one to watch out for, given the fact that he just literally curb stomped the field, shall we say, in qualifying. And I don't doubt that he could do it a second time, but to do it here in equal machinery against the other drivers, you might say tall order, but we'll wait and see. We have seen some drivers who really dominated class gone and win some ridiculous ways.
Yep. So Still going to be a little bit of time before we get ourselves set up for race number 2. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 more class races to come after this. We got the bronze class coming around straight after this copper class. We also have the gold and silver combined class that we're going to be ending the night off here in round number 3. So make sure you guys stay tuned here. Make sure you guys follow us on all of our social medias. That's going to be Facebook, Instagram, and also subscribe to us on YouTube. That's going to be where it seems most of our viewers are at the moment, because the chat in there is certainly wild right now. Still burning with that Sri Lankan support right now. Great to see that coming from Sim Racing Lanka. And right now, they can see on your screens here is the reverse grid. So Cliff Mononutu starts alongside Nugroho here in this reverse grid layout, whereas Ethan Lau and Yudhishthira will have to start from 10th and 9th place respectively. So for Ethan Lau, again, we did see the kind of speed he was able to get during qualifying, so perhaps he would have the pace, but he has a lot of cars he needs to be able to pass in order to get another win here in race number 2. But I digress. 10 more seconds until we get started with our copper class race number 2. The red lights are on once again here, and we will be off now for race number 2, GE16 at Spa-Francorchamps. Cliff Mononutu again, watch him on the inside there.
Oh!
A bit of clattering going on in the background one more time. I mean, still a lot of chaos in these starts and a massive pile-up happening there while Cliff is able to navigate through into the Lasource. Gunawan and Bajra 1 will be following closely behind. Nugroho unfortunately lost a couple of places during that start. Somebody spun out of Lasource. That's Yudhishthira getting caught up in the mix. He got flipped over, in fact, and now it's dropped down to 25th.
Oh, mayhem, and another one clashed
no.
the barriers there. I'm not sure which one's that. We couldn't even catch it on our cameras. Sebastian Fay was the one that, something happened horribly to his car there, but somebody stalled on the grid that didn't get off the line properly, and that caused a concertina effect for the behind that just literally threw everybody into a tailspin. Yeah,
Shadani and Sinua D are going to be fighting each other through the Camel Straight right now. I believe they are side by side. So is Satria as well as Eric Chandra right now. Bit of a hustle going on there for that 6th place. While Ardian Sharvinsky, Gunawan, able to get himself up in front of Cliff Mononutu. He takes the lead of the race.
Yeah, Mononutu ran a bit wide coming through Lake Combe, and that allowed Gunawan to come in. But a touch!
Oh!
That is friendly fire, if we could say so. That allows Bajra1 to come by. Well, I think Gunawan will be counting his lucky stars today, despite being Friday the 13th, that he got away with that one.
Holy moly, says Rayan right now, and I can't think of a better word to describe that start right now. Adia Nugroho, he had started in the front row, is now dropped to 6th place. Eric Chandra has gotten past him, or has he though? Fighting right back onto the inside there. Aditya gets back onto 5th place ahead of Eric Chandra.
And now Chandra will have to worry Satya, and these two actually came to blows in that first race, remember, because it was Satya that got the better of Chandra. Now they're at it again, as Satya has tried to follow his teammate Nugroho by to pass Chandra, but Chandra is proving to be a bit one tough cookie to crack. At least that time, right? He opened the door. He let the door open, and, well, Chandra is onto the gravel, and he may not be pleased with that one again.
Yeah, onto the gravel. That slows you down a lot here on Spa-Francorchamps. Eric Chandra down to 7th place. That puts Ethan Lowe in the meantime. He's only moved up a couple of places since we last saw him here. Now he's right behind Eric Chandra, trying to get a draft off of him in this 3rd sector. They're coming up close to that bus stop chicane, and he's already putting out the elbows here against Aji, who's attempting to crowd him on the outside. Goes off the track and rejoins just behind him right now. Going over the curbing, that slows it down enough so that Dean is able to get through. But Ethan Lau breaks a little bit earlier there, expecting these cars to come together, but these guys are still able to cut him through the bus cover chain. Looks like he got sandwiched there as he attempts to try to get through. A car is actually blocking his path, as you can see on his sim racing screen, and he comes out in 16th place.
That's his teammate. His teammate was involved in that one. He just got bobbed there because somebody in front couldn't get the drive out of there, and he's dropped all the way back, as you said, to 16th, and more cars come through.
Oh boy.
Left, right, and center. This is the epitome of very close pack racing. He just got crowded out.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate for Ethan Lau. Now he's 5 places away from the points now. Remember, race number 2's points is only distributed up into the top 10, so Ethan Lau's got to have a lot of work ahead of him right now if he wants to finish inside the points. In the meantime, on the straight, Vice Budget 1 takes the outside on Guna 1 and takes the lead of the race off the Camel Straight.
Yeah, that's a textbook maneuver by Budget 1. He had a better run that time. We saw a few drivers try to do it around the outside when he didn't get a good enough of a run. Didn't make it so, and Budget 1 just proved that if you had enough of a run from Eau Rouge all the way up Radion and onto the Camel Straight, you might just want to fancy it. And for Bajaj 1, he just took the lottery ticket and won the jackpot that time.
I mean, that's the beauty about, all these cars being on the same platform. It just means that the differential is just how quickly you got out of the source, and that determines whether or not you have the opportunity to pass right on the Camel Straight. So Gunawan right now is going to have to use this next 10 minutes here to try to set up that opportunity, because for the rest of these track, because just simply of the speed of these GT4 cars, they're just going to be very equal through here, especially if your skill level is just competitive enough to stay inside this top 10. And by golly, like, a lot of these nations certainly are.
Yep, definitely so. And it has been quite a doozy so far. But we'll wait and see. This might just be cooking slowly but surely to a great crescendo by the end of this particular race. Now, something happened to Ethan Lau again, and this time he's actually battling with one of his main championship rivals, Nimesh Dean.
Yeah, early on we saw him down in 15 places. Managed to recover a couple of places since then. His teammate early on has already recovered up into 11th place, but you can see that Nimesh is doing his level best to keep Ethan Lau under pressure here as they get into the bus stop. Again, going wide off of that corner. Now coming into the braking zone, Ethan Lau brakes and takes the defensive line. Nimesh Dean tries to cut him around the outside. If he has enough speed, I don't think he does have the speed though to be able to cut through by the time to get out of the bus stop chicane. So Ethan Lau stays in P13, P12 right now. As I think another driver has just dropped out there from the top 12 earlier on.
Umar Mokhtar.
Yeah,
it was Umar Mokhtar.
Umar Mokhtar again.
He dropped it at the bus stop chicane, so that's why we saw a few drivers getting a few freebies on the way up. But Ethan now is still fighting with Nimesh Dean, his main championship rival, in second place, heading to this round. Now, we have to get back out to the front because the Indonesian train, in fact, you can count it by your fingers. There's 7 of them up in front. Bajaj 1, Gunawan, Monunutu, Sanwaji, Satria, Chandra, and Nugroho.
Oh, no!
In fact, he has broken that particular armada, and he breaks rank by spinning.
Oh no, again, these Caymans have their engines right in the back, so once you get into a sliding position like that, it's very difficult to recover. And unfortunately for Cliff Monorutu, who was looking like he was on for a podium, has now dropped down to 6th place. Randy Go, in the meantime, savoring this moment right now against Nugoho, trying to find a way past him. He's perhaps going to have to keep at this for this next sector here, because they're already coming up towards Puan, and a bit of concertina there actually widened up the gap between himself and Nugroho.
Yeah, he probably got spooked by the fact that the driver in front of him, Nugroho, braked a bit early, and the way he actually brakes slides the car into the corner, so that's why he's probably frightened that you never know that will translate into a spin after this. But he also has to worry about the fact that behind him he's got Pratama Aji, so he's sandwiched by Indonesia's left, right, and center, showing how consistent they are in this one. And I don't know how the Indonesians really taken to Spa like a duck to water, but the entire top 10 is flooded with them, and that would be a really good thing to have on the way back home.
That's the thing, you have to be absolutely feeling your car, your virtual car as it were, in order to make moves like that. With the engine being like rear bias there, it means that you have to be very precise in your braking and your throttle inputs in order to be able to maintain a control through a slide like that. So very well done his part. In the meantime, we're on board now with Aji, who is watching this battle from behind. He sees Randy Go going wide there, perhaps trying to size on the opportunity here. Clip 102 slows down though, very early through into the bus stop. Wondering if he's having a bit of problems now. He's actually flashing his emergency lights there. Yeah. Not exactly sure what's that about. Perhaps slowing down because of cutting the track or something.
Might be, because look at that. He just turned off his hazards, or in fact, he put it back on. So remember, custom chain dispatch are on, so that's why we can see the hazards being used. But I don't think Farhan will be minding that one bit. There he goes on the inside of his teammate to take the position, as Ethan Lau is now gonna go join this particular party for the top 10.
Yeah, already moved up to 11th place, having dispatched Aldisaya. Oh, wait, no. Aldisaya is fighting back on him. Down through Eau Rouge. It will be side by side on Radion here. Ethan Lau's going to leave a bit of gap there. Oh, look at that. Closing the door to him through that blind uphill corner. And now into the Camel Straight. It looks like Aldisaya is not able to hold back Nimesh Dean. Nimesh Dean is going to cut through the grass here in order to get up in front of Ethan Lau. A very brave move here.
Can he make it, though? He has to run on the outside. He has to be couple of inches in front Can he make it stick around the outside though? He trail breaks into the corner, still side by side between himself and Ethan Lowe as Rizkola Aldisha watches behind the two-touch, and Aldisha might just be able to get by the both of them.
Yeah, Ethan Lau now having a new challenger in his wings, the green car of Adicia now trying to have an inside. I think another car is also getting in the mix. Yudhishthira is getting himself into this battle as well as Ethan Lau bottling up all these other Indonesians. Bit of a clattering there onto Adicia, but he still stays on track though, as Nimesh Dean is now facing a challenger in the form of Shadani just behind him.
Wow, this is a battle for just the fringe positions, and it's not even for points anymore. This is really costing them time because they're now 2 seconds behind Muhammad Farhan. But great bit of driving from Ethan to just actually crowd out Nimesh that time, and Nimesh, to his detriment, has lost positions, but he'll have to be thanking the fact that Yudhishthira is still keeping the fight on, because there he goes, switch back, left, right, and center, but still cannot get by Ethan Lau for the time being because Ethan is putting out a good staunch defense.
Yeah, doing so well, but still more or less maintain the status quo here. Ethan Lau having been in 11th place from the bus stop up until now, despite all the positional changes happening all around him. Yudhishthira now getting a good draft of him through Blanchimon. Now he's going to try to chase him through the kink here. Oh, he's going to be able to go onto the inside. Ethan Lau is going to leave a bit of space there. Both of them are going to go wide through the runoff area as we now are headed towards the bus stop. And very important breaking point here. Ethan Lau goes wide. Yudhishthira doesn't quite take the dive though. He still has to tuck in behind on the main straight.
Oh wow, that is just frustrating, isn't it? That Ethan once again just puts his car in the right position every single time. Just frustrating the Indonesian. And it's frustrating as well that they're losing touch to the guys in front, though they're actually in their own little battles. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out after this. Was this particular battle just goes into a bit of a break, and in fact, they might just become more important because Pratama Aji for the final points position.
Yep, it certainly is here. A couple more cars just behind. It's going to have to move out of the way in order to get past Aji there. In the meantime, Yudhishthira struggling to hang on to Ethan Lau's slipstream there, but now he's on the Camel Straight. Doesn't seem to have gotten a good speed differential through Radion there, so he's just going to have to rely on pure slipstreaming power in order to close up the distance here. Now coming up into the first part of this turn, at the end of the Camel Straight, Yudhishthira not able to dive this time. Can he do it through Lacombe's though? That is coming up.
Lacombe, we're passing by now and on to Brussels, the long right-hander turn 8 before we get into the revamped speaker / no name / Jackie X corner. There's multiple names that we can use here for this one, but for the sake of clarity, everyone calls it no name, so we'll just use that. But I prefer to use Jackie X because he just got Chrissy recently as that corner. Though Ethan Lau just managing to stay up ahead for now, and he's definitely going to frustrate Yudhishthira a lot because he's been putting in the right positions, but he runs a bit wide here, and that might allow Yudhishthira to come by.
Yep, he's going to try to get alongside now, coming out of Wuhan, forcing Ethan Lau out onto the elbow of the road, but Ethan Lau is able to take back the inside line on the chicane here. Yudhishthira is still going to try to run alongside. He takes the inside of the next turn indeed and forces Ethan Lau to slow down a bit. So he successfully wrestles away that 10th position, and now he also got Nimesh Dean to accompany Ethan Lau just behind.
Yep, and they'll be watching brief right now to just get at least a couple of points. Nugroho Farhan are not that far ahead, and Ethan gets a very poor run that time around out of Stavlo, and into Blanchimon comes Nimesh Dean on the inside, takes the position away. I think, yep, he has, and he makes it through. Now he has one position away to take to be in the points.
Yeah, in the meantime, just off camera, the Cliff Mononutu is able to regain 6th position from Randy Go, or does he? Randy Go actually cuts in front of Mononutu on the bus stop straight, so he gets back on the 6th place, and Cliff's trouble is not quite over as Farhan is going to try to crowd him around the outside into La Source. Lights are flashing now here. Cliff Mononutu desperate to try to hold on. He breaks a little bit earlier compared to Farhan, but just enough to block him from trying to make the move at La Source, but still not quite done yet. We still got the end of the Camel Straight to look at, and I think Farhan and Cliff got in quite a good exit out of La Source.
Yep, they're going to come into Orush and Radion now. Let's see who's going to be the first to blink here. Coming up through the straight, it looks as though Mononutu may just be, that's quite shaky, and that will allow Farhan to just sneak up to the back of him.
Yep, that's a bad corner there for Mononutu. So now Farhan has all the momentum in the world to try to cut him around the outside on the Camel Straight here. Coming into the corner now. Are they going to be able to outbreak each other? Well, Cliff is going to concede that position there. And Farhan moves up into 7th place. Cliff still going to try to fight back immediately afterwards. Trying to crowd around the outside. Cannot quite find a way through.
Yeah, Cliff had to concede the position because, again, if he actually fights a bit too hard, he might end up spinning into the crowd, which is almost what happened this time around. This Farhan gets a bit of a whack from Mononutu, but hangs on to it. We're going to have to jump in front of it because Satria, Gunawan, and Sanawaji are actually in a close, tense battle for P3 as well. There they are right now between the two M92 cars, incidentally, as one of their teammates, Adi, actually is cheering them on. But Satria looks as though is the more antsy of the two because he really wants to get out to the back of Gunawan because Gunawan is not that far away.
I always maintain that black is such a good color on racetracks because it just looks so intimidating, especially in your rear view mirror. And unfortunately for Sinawaji, that's the view he's going to get as Eric Satcher is giving his teammate quite the push right now into Sector 3. So the whole time though, Gunawan is still ahead of the two by just 0.7 of a second. So these two drivers cannot really afford to continue tussling with each other if the goal is to get a good finish here. Although Yaya is on the podium though, so Eric Satcher would be mindful to not take out his teammate here because it's already looking like a great amount of points here for their team regardless of this.
Yep, and it looks as though he's holding station, which is exactly what a good teammate would do. But they'll be happy with that. Meanwhile, Faiz Badr at 1 will take the victory here, swings across the line, wins it at Spa race number 2 and his first win in the GP. Gunawan second, another podium. Third, Sanawaji. Fourth, Satria, and they hit each other off the line there. Fifth is Chandra, so top 5 are Indonesians. 6 will be the first of the Malaysians, Randy Go. 7, Mononutu, another Indonesian. 8th, Yudhistira, and 9th, in fact, where we are right now. 9th, Yudhistira, and 10th, Nugroho, with a photo finish across the line further behind. Very close between Nugroho and Dean, but he'll take 11th. 12th will be Ethan Lau. He'll be very disappointed by the fact that the race didn't turn out that way because progress was stymied due to the fact that how close the field were. But for Badr One, he'll be doing donuts here right now and happy in this.
Oh, not able to finish in the points for race number 2, but it was a very competitive fight there going on to the 10th place, which Nugroho was able to secure the final point here for race number 2. So that is a copper class done and dusted for round number 3 here, and quite a lot of battling going on here, despite the fact that this is such a wide and very fast track here, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed, and surprisingly, for the most part, it was clean, but we still cannot put our finger on who was the one that stalled on the grid because it looks like he wasn't even aware that the race started and caused a bit of mayhem before the race even went off. But apart from that, the battles were good. The crashes were reduced to at least not as much as before, and we had some good battles all the way.
Exactly. So with that out of the way, we're going to be getting ourselves prepped up for our bronze class race. It's going to be coming up right after this. But until then, we're going to be taking a short break. So make sure you guys stick around. We'll be right back after these messages.
Pewter is about possibilities. It is an idea made real. Crafted with precision. It can make tradition timeless. Pewter evolves. When allowed to be free, it can captivate you. Pewter is our legacy, and we're keeping the legacy alive. Royal Selangor, since 1885.
Gentlemen, to eRacing GP. This is round number 3 here of the Global Edition number 16. We just finished the Copper class races there, and now we're going to be jumping into our GT3 class, aka the Bronze class right now. So a whole new lineup of drivers going to be taking to Spa Francorchamps here. They're all getting themselves ready up inside the practice lobby right now to get ready for racing here. It's again going to be another 2 races here for the Bronze class. Going to be all running on the GT3 cars this time around, so a little bit faster, a little bit closer to what we can expect on a Spa weekend in real life, and certainly a lot of good racing that we've been seeing here so far.
Definitely, and given the fact that it is basically a double Spa weekend, because not only because today we're racing at the same circuit with Spa Francorchamps, we'll be doing the same thing tomorrow with the Endurance Edition, where we're going to be going off finale. So watch out for that. We've already put up the announcements on social media how that's going to go, as now we're going to jump right into it, are we, Victor, to find out what's what.
Yeah, so here's the standings right now for our Bronze class. Mohammad Shakir Fitri is currently leading this class with 68 points to his name. Justin Raul Dev, who had a stonking good round number 2, has managed to get himself up into the top 3 here in the driver standings, but still a long ways to go here before he can challenge Shakir Fitri for that driver standing lead here. More competitive between the 2 Pepega Racing drivers here, I think, compared to Shakir Fitri, who just really needs to focus on getting a nice clean race here today in order to continue to extend his lead going to the final round of Global Edition 16.
Yep, indeed, and we did highlight earlier that there's a bit of a rivalry forming between the guys at the front in team standings with Pepega and Handshake. Handshake led the way after the first round, but then the second round, Pepega came storming like gangbusters to take the lead away from Handshake. So expect some fireworks to fly, but hopefully it'll be some at least decent racing between all of them, because we want to have a clean and fair championship fight.
Exactly. So we are still about a minute away inside the practice lobby right now, so the drivers are still doing their last minute preparations here, as it were, in order to get themselves into this race. And good opportunity for us to admire some of the special liveries that we have here. We got Shamur Amri, a very nice, I was thinking it was like a green, like a British racing green, but it's actually more of a blue, isn't it?
I think it's green in my eyes as well, because it's a bit more dark teal green, but regardless of that, it's quite nice to see that it's a combination from last season's 2 teams, Suntime Malaysia and Speed Chasers Motorsports Club. They combined together their resources and forces to become one team called Handshake Racing. So I think the Handshake name is just symbolic of the agreement between 2 sides, East Malaysia and West Malaysia, to come together and form one team under the same umbrella. So it's quite nice to see that they're in the thick of it, and they have plenty of entries in all the classes that we have so far. So good to see as well that delivery really stands out among the rest.
I wonder if we start doing a championship based on who has like the best liveries on the track, is that going to be just as competitive as the racing we've seen on track here so far? And this is another really good livery here. Mikhail Iqbal using this nice pink and teal colorway here, which as you mentioned was actually a reference to his father's racing suit, isn't it?
Yeah, made by yours truly for that behind. So it's just like wanted to give something in return for the family because they've been quite generous to take part here, and plus their kid being a savant and all, so it's just to help make them stand up for the crowd. And it's nice to know that we can now at least identify that pink tealish car on the track, and he's doing quite well for himself, especially in his first outing. He didn't make it for the second round, but he was in that top 10 in that first race. Let's hope that he can actually do well here. Now, some of the other liveries that we pointed out before, hopefully that we have any of the Pepega guys out on track. No, we don't. But we can see part of the liveries here because they also had a member of the community in ERGP make the livery for them. And if you want to actually go get that livery, it's by a user on our Discord called Alpha Whiskey, which is Damas Adiansa, if not mistaken. Damas is his first name. If you want your livery to be made, you can just go out to him and he will do you a solid.
Well, it's been a solid looking livery actually that Pepega Racing has been carrying in multiple seasons of the Global Edition. Actually, they've been around for quite a while, if you can't tell. Ronaldi Kataran also sporting a very unique livery there. I think that's a reference to Sprite on the side there, on the door, isn't it?
Yep, and I can see on top of the bonnet halal, halal Indonesia. So, well, it is halal in terms of the fact that it is complete car, but you might say the pink colors will denote something that is not a bit savory if you are among that inclination.
I mean, the thing is it just reminded me, this is the halal car. The haram car is probably going to be like the pink one, the pig one, the pink. Yeah,
the pig that ran in Le Mans. Yeah, that would be the haram livery.
Although I still think it's such a funny livery, especially when you do the different cuts of pork on the livery itself.
Indeed. Unfortunately, most of the cars are back in pit lane, but we will run through some of the special liveries that the teams have run, including one from Track Esports, the Philippines team. You can see there. We did think of it as cheese at first, but then when you look closely, they have the honeycomb shape, so it's honey.
It's honey. It's not cheese. Although honey does go well with cheese in some instances.
I'm not sure if how this is going, or it may be something that is quite unique to where you're from in Sarawak, of course.
I don't think
because there's some unique dishes that come from there as well. But whatever it is, we have some other cars are on track as well. Hopefully we can pick them up. Yes. That's what I'm looking for. It's the Passionate Racing team, and unfortunately we have to go back to pit lane ready because session's over. But Passionate are also one of those teams that we look out for because they were dominant before in Global Edition 14 in the bronze class. Now they made their way up to the silver class, and I think Dominic and Felix have actually made it up to the gold class for this one. So we'll look out for them after this. But for now, in the bronze class, it is very close at the front. Look at that, 217.7. to 17.8, exactly 100th difference between Elliot Steronegel and Azib Shami Mokhtar, with Yongjan in 4th place. So very, very close in the practice session. Let's see how that plays out in the qualifying.
Again, because Spa is just that long and that fast of a track, it really allows these GT3 cars to stretch their legs, as it were. So these cars really love the extremely long straight you have here in the form of the Camel, the really long fast corners. Because of the amount of downforce that these GT3 cars produce, they can easily navigate those corners. Not quite to the level of open wheel car, but still very, very fast, for a fully cowed machine like this. Yep. So at the moment, Elliot Stewenagel is currently holding that top place, but only not even a 10th second, like 10 milliseconds.
No, 100.
100 faster than Mokhtar at the moment. So again, I'm expecting this qualifying session to really cut it close. Just knowing how evenly, because again, Spa it's one of those tracks that really prioritize your power plant's ability to generate that top speed when it comes to Camel. The thing is that on this particular car mod that we have here, the BCRC GT3s, all the engines have the same amount of power.
Yeah.
So really, the only place you're going to get differences is just on the way that these drivers take their corners here, and by virtue of these corners being extremely fast, there's going to be very little variation, I feel, amongst these cars. Like, just like with the Copper class, the main overtaking place is from the bus stop chicane all the way to La Source, and that's the main place that these drivers have to focus on. Although, to be fair, you still have to be very focused throughout the entire track, but those are the two very critical points there, because that is where you can potentially gain or lose positions.
And speaking of gaining and losing positions, we have had a driver jump through the entire field as Justin Raldev, the championship contender here, challenging Muhammad Shakir Fitri, aka Kirin, for that first place in bronze. And this is the championship battle that I was most looking forward to, because after Justin Raldev had a very offbeat first race of the season, shall we say, first round, he came back guns blazing in the second round and is back in the thick of it in the championship fight. And look at that, a bit of a fight between Shakir Fitri already and Azif Shami Mokhtar, both in the Mustang and the Mercedes, and Kirin coming through in the cute and funny livery up in front of Azif Shami. So team tactics already at play, would you believe it?
I know, right? And it also just brings to mind, like, last time around in the past two tracks that we had, like Road America as well as Watkins Glen, we could see that the Mustang, for the most part, had a lot more advantages compared to the AMG when it came to straights, right? Like, it was rather like out the exit of corners. So that could be a good factor here for Shakir Fitri, aka Kirin, to take advantage of when it comes to Spa. And because this is a very fast track, and has like one of the longest straights on the, or at least on the Formula One calendar. So it is a very conducive place here for Shakir Fitri to actually do something on for this track.
Yeah, in fact, we saw last time out in Watkins Glen that the Ford actually struggled on the straights, but was fast through the corners, while the Mercedes and the BMW were really fast on the straights. This time, however, it looks as though it's the Mustang that's actually better. But again, it's only just early doors exit out of the pits. We'll wait and see once we come through the first few laps, shall we say. First the banker, and then the proper qualifying laps to see who has the pace advantage. And it looks as though Kirin is just out of the blocks, going out of the way in front of Aziz Shami. So that was a bit of a fight early on. Now we get to see who's going to draw first blood here. Oh, Kirin runs a bit wide there, coming through the chicane. That's not how he wanted to start his lap.
Yeah, well, again, this is only the flying lap here, and naturally, you know, you still want to be able to come out the bus stop in the best with the best possible exit, because you want to gain as much speed as you can on the main straight to start your flying lap. So that's going to be a bit of a disadvantage for him. In the meantime, for Justin Raldev, he was one of the lead cars going through. I think we're seeing one of the cars that came out later in the pits just in front of him. Hopefully that doesn't become an issue here, although I believe that car in front may just be on an out lap right now. So that's just a thing here for Justin Raldev. He's on a flying lap here. He cannot afford to have any disruptions.
And he actually flashed his lights, and that looks like Ivan Wijaya. So Wijaya then is the last of the guys to leave the pit lane, or maybe he left earlier. It's just unfortunately he did not get the best of runs out of then. Whoa, no!
Oh boy.
That might distract Justin. And, yeah, he flashed his lights completely, but Justin then just gets it out in time. And, well, for his sake, he might hope that he didn't lose too much time here, because now it will be the rest of the field's problem, because Kirin will be the next one to meet up with this guy. And he's fighting Razi Shami. Well, there you go. He abandoned his lap.
Boy.
Again, those two probably were just fighting it a bit too close for comfort. They might just have to back it off. And for Kirin as well, it's a game of gamesmanship. If you know that the guy behind is actually trying to fight you on your out lap, might as well just back it off.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, even in your out laps, you have to space yourself out from your rivals on track, as it were. Otherwise, you end up in situations like this, right? Ivan Wijaya just takes onto the grass. You just try to stay out of as many people's way as possible. Though it's coming onto the exit here. Oh, you can see the flashing lights coming out here from I believe it's Zarif Adam. Yeah, just getting past him right now. So Ivan's continuing to have to slow down here to let these other trained cars pass. But the good news for him is not many cars are going to be behind him from now. It's going to be pretty clear from this corner on. So hopefully he will be able to stay out of most of the other people's way. In the meantime, one of the drivers in the Ferraris here. It's Lukman. He is currently coming through the third sector. You can see all the other drivers up in front right now. Justin Reldev already getting himself closer and closer to that bus up chicane. Lukmanul Hakim is right now following. Look at that side by side there for Zari Adam. Sorry, Mikhail Ibail right now.
And Zareb Adam, they're flashing each other here, so not a very good way to start as Kirin manages to get a lap on the board. So somehow, Justin, despite being first on the road, did not get a lap on the board properly. And, well, that has put a spanner into the works because he only has one lap left here, because that's it. That's the end of his qualifying. And we wanted to focus just now on drivers further behind, whether or not they were actually in the gaps. And I was pointing out Lukman Hakim as well. He has a special livery from the M92 team. Good. It's nice to see that a lot of teams put effort into their deliveries. But aside from that, it looks as though the qualifying session is wide open here because Shakir Fitri, despite having to fight with Aziz Shami Mokhtar, manages to put in a 69, would you believe it?
That's crazy. Like, literally 7 milliseconds under a 217. That's a crazy amount of time, kind of time here for Kirin to be able to set, and that's pretty much going to be the tone now for everyone else who's still in the running for qualifying, because that's going to be a high gap to overcome here. The closest one right now is Niraj Ishan, and at the moment he's still like 0.6 of a second away from that time, so that's he's going to have a heck of a hard job right now to try to find those extra 0.6 out on track.
And there's that camo digital livery that we talked about before for Sim Racing Lanka. And a really nice touch that the livery designers for that team is going for here. As we look at the comment section right now, somebody is rooting for Elliot Steerenagel. That is Ethan Place. So where is Steerenagel? Well, he actually just delivered a really good banker lap. He's in P5 and behind Amir Rafiq. So that's in pretty much what they call allies, because Amir Rafiq is in part of that Red Pack Asia racing team, and these guys are really good mates among each other, so they'll be trying to wheel each other on as much as they could. Steerenagel, yes, he is actually racing in Malaysia, despite the lighting in the back makes it look like he's actually racing in daylight over in the States. You know, he is from Minnesota. We thought he was going to be from there, but it turns out that it's just backlighting that he turned on, that he could get some light in. Though it looks as though he's not happy with this particular run, and we'll have to back out of that one. As where is Justin Raldev? Crucially, where is he and his lap time? Because I don't see it on the board here, Vic.
Yeah, I don't quite see it either, so he may have not been able to...
yes.
Wait, where is he?
P4.
P4, there we go. Justin Raldev, 217.7. He's already passed the line here, so now I think that's probably the best he could do right now for this qualifying session. May not be able to go for another run here. Kiri, in the meantime, finishes, does not improve on his time, so, but he still stays a provisional pole right now. Niraj Yesan is now coming through the bus stop chicane, falling behind one of his countrymen here. Very nice and tidy through that. What is his time going to be? He's going to try to get up onto the control line. Not going to be able to improve on it, though, so he stays in P2. Still on the front row, but he's going to have to cut around La Source, round the outside.
Yep. And crucially for the championship, though, Kirin has taken another 5 points. Big 5 points here if he wants to actually go for a championship run, because Justin Raldev has only scored 1.
Yep, it's going to be a very, very tight race here in Spa. I can already feel it just looking at these times. Look at how much separates each individual driver. 1/10 of a second, less than a 10 of a second. 40 milliseconds there between Mokhtar and Justin Raldev. Wow, so close, these qualifying times.
And Steerenagel is just outside of that. Elliot just managed to make it an 18-1, but Tehan Eranga makes it a second and third for SRL. What a time out of our cameras, because we were watching everybody coming through. He managed to get it up there, and for the Sri Lankans, they'll be happy to know that Sabri Ratnayake has managed to make it up to P9, and Angelo Sanaratne is in P10. So 4 Sri Lankans in that top 10, but they know they have a target to beat, and that is Mohamed Shakir Fitri, aka Kirin, up in front for Handshake Malaysia. He is the class of the field so far.
Yeah, we still got 3 more cars out of the track, though I see one of them is already stopped. 2 more cars are still running, or, well, they're not going to be running anymore because qualifying has now officially ended. So, great job there from Eranga, being able to take second position right in the dying moments of this qualifying session to get himself up into a front row seat alongside Kirin, currently the leader in this bronze class championship, and looking like he's going to be taking a good haul of points, already taken 5 points there for having the pole position. Let's see whether it's going to be able to transform that into a race win here potentially.
We'll wait and see how that plays out because, again, he's got a field of hungry drivers right behind. But if he keeps taking first race wins, which he has done, that's 25 points in the bag easily. Even without the fast lap, it'll be 27. But he is inching away up in front. That's what he wants. And when the reckoning comes, when we go into the drop points, he will be in good nick here to try and take the championship wherever we race next time by next week.
Exactly. So for now, though, we are racing right here in Francorchamps. Now the second race of the day, the bronze class for the Global Edition number 16. Only got one more race after this, but this is the race that matters the most here for the bronze class because it's the one that's going to gain them a lot of points, and especially for Fitri Farti Anwar, aka Kirin. He's looking to see whether if he could continue to defend his lead in the driver's standings, or are they going to be is there going to be a big challenge coming in from Sim Racing Lanka here, because two of the drivers are just qualified behind him here. So Aranaga and Yishan are going to be up alongside. Oh,
what happened here?
What happened here? Kirin is no longer on the front row when we came back here. In fact, it's dropped down to 17th place on our standings board here. I wonder why it's happened.
Okay, now that is weird. That is something that is out of our control, by the way, because it's how the server is set up. Because we didn't set that whoever qualifies on pole starts for the behind. That's just not how it's played out. With qualifying that first run, ends up you're starting first. You qualify first in qualifying. You'll be first in the first race. That is weird because he did fairly and squarely set the fastest time of the entire qualifying session. But whatever it is, we cannot mind that too much because we got a race to attend to here.
Yep, so the two Sim Racing Lanka cars are going to be taking the front row as the red lights go. Let's find out. Bronze class is go here for round number 3. Both of these cars are going off pretty well. Aranaga is going to have the inside line here, but look out on the inside there. Mokhtar is going to try his best to try to cut. Aranaga cannot quite get him there that time around. Pretty clean start here, all things considered, for the bronze class. No clattering of cars up behind. It's been a clean first turn so far, but now it's going to be the danger zone. Eau Rouge into Radion. Both of the Sim Racing Lanka cars able to follow each other closely behind, but Neosh Yesan gets a good exit coming out of Radion there. Will be going side by side on the Camel Straight. Mokhtar following closely behind. He's going to have front row seats to this.
This is between teammates, and if Iranga or Yeshan get it completely wrong, that would just jettison everything they have worked up to this point. But looks like Iranga just backed it off. He knows full well that he doesn't want to waste precious team points and Nations Cup points because they are actually the best representatives they have right now up in front. But Azif Shami watching brief here. Iranga just holding it firm right now. We saw in Watkins Glen how Iranga was actually in the midst of it all because he was in several high-profile collisions. He didn't want to actually end up in the stewards' back books again.
Yeah, well, keeping it nice and clean so far. Mokhtar trying his best to keep up with the Sim Racing Lanka guys. And there goes on the inside of Buhan. He takes the lead of the race. Neosh Yeshan is now sandwiched between his teammate and a Pepega Racing driver.
Wow, what a start between the both of them. And for Zishami Mokhtar, he is actually watching brief. He knows he doesn't want to get involved here. As behind him is Renaldi Counterrun. And you can see somebody supporting for the Indonesian there because one of his supporters, Ivy Tajadi is his name, up there P4, but did he drop it?
Oh no!
Nearly! And behind him, Amir Rafi is just about to get that position.
Yeah, he's already waiting in the wings there. He saw the mistake coming up from Renaldi. Now it's going to be all over him. It's so funny to see like this line of cars right now because it's AMG, and suddenly a Porsche in the mix here, trying to chase for a podium, but may just be cut by Amir Afik right a bunch one. Oh! Very, very close. Too close for comfort there, but the Indonesian still hangs on to 4th place.
Meanwhile, up in front of both of them, here is Azishami Mokhtar trying one on Nerosh Yeshan. And Yeshan, compared to Iranga, hasn't been in the bad books just yet, but he knows full well that he doesn't want to fight Shami too hard. Otherwise, they will lose precious positions and points if that was the case. But Azib, try telling him that when he comes on the inside of La Source. But that might have left him a bit open to Kataran right behind.
And it felt like there was like a warning shot coming out from Azib Shami Mokhtar there. But all that fighting and defending actually is hurting Neosh Yeshan right now because his teammate Iranga is already flying away with the lead. 1.6 seconds now as they come up onto the Camel Straight, and Mokhtar is still drafting Neosh Yeshan right now, trying to go for a possible second place, and Neosh is taking on the wide line. So I think Shami, he was looking whether going to go for the dive, but no, Neosh Yeshan is going to try to defend on the inside. Shami Mokhtar not able to take the position, but look at that, the Sim Racing Laka car is spun and unfortunately gets onto the grass and drops all the way down outside. Oh my goodness.
Was there a touch there? I couldn't see if there was a touch, but it looks as though Azib got away with that one, but Yeshan unfortunately is the big victim out of that. He's dropped outside of our timing screen now. He's actually dropped it into P25, so 26 now. Unfortunately for him, he was just a victim of circumstance. Meanwhile, there is Kataran. Dives around the outside. He is very aggressive, very punchy in a Porsche, which is not the most favorite car, but unfortunately, that mid-engine configuration did not help him wonders here. He touched the curve, and that allows Amir Rafi to come by into P3. Oh, yoy.
Yeah, riding up on the curbs there. Unfortunately, the gutter technique does not quite work the same here on Spa. So unfortunately, he's going to have to take a sideline here. It's now Zarif Adam, another PPK Racing driver, is up all over him.
Oh!
Freeway, and a touch there from the Porsche onto the BWT car. Amir Afik is now off and going way outside of the points right now, I think, with all the cars getting past.
And he rightfully just gets it back gingerly because he doesn't want to cause a major accident, but that might have been a touch here as Shake Fitri has managed to make it up back to P5. Oh! Another one! That's another one! Big one! And then Kieran gets involved in that one. He clears it. Two cars hit each other, and that's Sterenagel. Sterenagel has actually been hit.
Sterenagel got collected. Unfortunately, Zarif Adam gets spun out there. He's now trying to recover back through the bus stop chicane. Had to cut through the track a little bit. He has to slow down to avoid a cut track penalty. So Sterenagel drops down to 10th place. Justin Raudem moves up into 8th place. But massive chaos here in the first few laps of Spa.
Now, where was the other driver? Because we need to find the Indonesian that was involved in that one. Kataran, yeah. Where's Kataran?
I think it's number 13.
Ah, yes, there he is. Kataran was the one that knocked out Azib Shami into a big spin, and unfortunately, they collected each other big time. And, you know, the big beneficiary out of all that, in fact, it was actually Zarif Adam. The big beneficiary out of all that is actually Kieran. He's managed to make it up to P3 in front of his teammate as well in the HSM car. Now, the roles are reversed. It is the HSM team that actually got to the upper hand here.
Well, I mean, again, you know, we still have no idea why, what happens to Kieran's car early on in the start. He did qualify, at least on our screens here, in pole position, and unfortunately had to start from all the way at the back of the grid when we reset it, when the grid's positions reset it. So it's great to see that he's able to make himself get himself back up into P3 here. He's got his teammate Rezwan Shah for company as well, who's going to be crucial in this defense, because right now we also have Ngoyong Jen following behind these two cars. Rezwan Shah will be the first line of defense here for Anwar.
Yeah, for Kieran, that will be what he wants to see, because he at least has a teammate behind him to watch over. But Kataran, you gotta say that he actually broke up that armada that the Pepega and Red Pack guys had, because he first knocked out Amir Rafi, and then he knocked out Zarif Adam out of the way. So really, the HSM guys, whether or not, well, they didn't pay him for it, of course, but it was almost circumstantial that it helped them big time.
Yeah, so let's see. Ngoyon Jen now getting a good run up against Rezwan Shah. Rezwan's going to have to run defense later on to get to the bus stop, but with Ngoyon Jen beat him to the punch under braking here, that is where it's going to matter. Look at the AMG closing the gap, trying to get around the outside of Shah. Didn't quite stick the landing though by the time to get out of the bus stop chicane, but he's still close enough that Rezwan still will have to defend by the time to get through Eau Rouge and into the Camel Straight.
Meanwhile, Zarif Adam out of our screens has retired from that race, and for good measure as well, because he was involved in that melee at Blanchimont that also unfortunately involved Elliot Sterenagels, and Sterenagel's actually back in the pit, so the damage has proven to be quite substantial that he wanted. He was just an innocent bystander in that one anyway, but whatever it is, we're gonna look now at Yongjan fighting with Rezwan Shah. onto the Camel Straight.
Yeah, Youngjae actually backed off a little bit, trying to stay just behind Rezwan's shot as he get on the Camel Straight. And this is good tactics because he wants to use the slipstream on the straight itself to his advantage. And again, that's a huge advantage he will have now under braking here, going to the corner. The Rezwan's shot will have the inside. Youngjae has plenty of speed to take on the inside here. He moves up into 4th place, but only just Handshake Racing Driver will be able to cut him on the next corner. It is still 4th place here for Rezwan Shah.
Good driving there from Rezwan, aka Wak Dean, apparently back of his name, but he locks it up! Wak Dean locks it up, and Rezwan Shah now has to go rear guard action once again. But all the while then, this has helped Kieran to just pull out a 2-second advantage up in front here. That's exactly what he wanted. A teammate that helps him in his fight. And for Youngjae, that is definitely not what he wanted to see. A driver that was not willing to give up position, not for a single second.
And that's the thing, this Global Edition, Global Edition, it's not just a driver championship, it's a team championship. In fact, it's also a nations championship as well. So having a teammate here is so critical here for Kieran's championship hopes here. And the whole time that Rezwan Shah is holding back Youngjae, the further and further away that Kieran can get from his competition and stay in that P3 position.
Wow, that has helped him out big time here. And Kieran now, for a second looked like all was lost, has managed to get it up now back to number 3 and a podium. So 16 valuable points as opposed to Justin Roldeff, who can get only 9 right now for finishing in 7th. Really what happened big time. Here's Hayden Choi, who was involved in the stewarding fracas last time out with the amount of accidents that happened then. He's up to P9, so not a bad way to bounce back after what was a disappointing debut at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, Hayden Choi right now, he was early on tussling with the Ferrari of Lukman Hakim. Oh, got a little bit too late on the brakes there. He clatters into the back of Lukman Hakim, who is right now struggling to try to regain position, but he gets collected and spins around on the end of the final turn here on Spa. Has to let all these cars go by in order to rejoin safely, and that is a massive, massive loss of position here from the Indonesian.
Open my mouth and I'll be pleased. Did I just say that Hayden Choi was not supposed to be involved anymore in the stewarding fracas? Well, he's just booked himself another trip to the steward's room at that time. But in his defense, I'm not sure why Lukman Hakim dropped speed so dramatically. I think he might have had a corner cut somewhere. He wanted to get rid of the penalty, but he didn't realize that Choi was coming in very hot.
Yeah, could be well, that's going to be something they will have to answer to the stewards later on. In the meantime, battle still going on here. Rezwan Shah continuing to hold his own against Go Youngjae. Still stays in P4, coming out of Likum. And now into Brussels here. A very tricky one. We saw him go wide early on. He still takes a wider line, perhaps more of out of caution than anything else. But so far, he's doing a bang-up job of keeping Yo Youngjae behind.
Wow. Rezwan Shah is doing a huge favor for Shakir P3 because Kieran now in P3 is about almost 4.5 seconds ahead of this battle. And Youngjae flashing his lights, no doubt he'll be very frustrated being in the back of this Mustang because in his defense, Rezwan's defense was actually very good. So he has nothing to complain about apart from the fact that he's actually feeling annoying, and I feel for him. You know that from his position, if you're in there, you will be very frustrated that one guy's putting up such a very heavy defense to keep away the position from you.
But that's the thing, what Rezwan Shah is doing, just making his Mustang as wide as possible. And the fact is already, the Mustang is already such a wide car, isn't it? So again, Rezwan is just the perfect weapon right now to use against Go Youngjae in the defense. But right now, Youngjae is going to try to go around the outside on Blanchimon. This could be a tricky one here. More than likely, he's going to end up in the runoff. He backs out a little bit, stays behind Rezwan Shah, going into the bus stop. He's trying to size up an opportunity to go for a braking battle here, but no, clattered to each other. Rezwan is forced off. Go Youngjae has a cut through the chicane, loses control, tries to regain his composure right now as he gets back on track, watching out for other cars behind him. But the whole time, Rezwan Shah is also still out there. He's already behind in 7th place. Justin Rauldev moves up into 5th, and Jeremy Yao moves up to 4th.
Wow, that actually helped Justin this time because Youngjae just knocked out Rezwan Shah. But I think because Rezwan had a ping issue because you can see for a second his car was much closer. So it's not fault of the server because everybody else is stable. We had that situation with Nandava Watkins Glen, remember, when his car kept flying. That's an issue on one driver's half. It's not completely the server's fault. So that's why we had that moment. But for Justin, that's the damage limitation he wants because he knows that Kieran has managed to get it up to the podium. There he is, Kieran, on our camera. And there is Justin behind Jeremy Yao. And if he could get past Jeremy, he could minimize the damage that Kieran is going to inflict here by getting that podium.
Yeah, and well, he will still have to fight with Jeremy Yao regardless, though. We only got 2.5 minutes, less than 2.5 minutes to go here in this race. Right now, we're in P10's Arif Frisky, who is looking like he wants to try to size up an opportunity against Lakshman, or at least to try to keep up with him. Because right now, in this 10 position, that's going to set himself up for a pole position start for race number 2, and that's going to be something he'll be looking forward to for sure.
Oh, definitely, and Frisky as well. He's actually raced in 3 different classes, if anything. He started the season in gold. The previous round, he was in silver. And now he's actually in bronze, but it looks as though he's right at home in bronze because he is doing a stellar job here to get up into the points and potentially pole position for the second race. Meanwhile, MVE Sim Racing has been a good contributor here. He says the Porsche amidst the AMGs and front engine cars. Well, that was actually around the time when we saw Carteran right in between them, but then Carteran managed to do multiple, let's not seppuku because it's self-inflicted, but Godzilla moves. Because it's just Snippy destroying, in this case, Hope destroying for the other drivers. He took out Mirafi and then he took out Zarif Adam, so might be a Stoics inquiry on that one. And then, when the shuffling happened, the lag that we saw with Rizwan Shah and Yongjan.
Yeah, and you know, that's also the thing when it comes to stewarding sim racing, is that you also have to consider issues like this, where like just networking causes these cars to just run out of position. Because again, because the way online racing works, a lot of these cars perhaps are predictive, right? So if they receive information not quite telling where the position is, the car will teleport around. That creates a bit of an issue sometimes in these online races. Nevertheless, we're seeing a massive challenge here. I forgot to mention that Savi Ratnyanke has been pressuring Frisky all throughout there. He's able to get alongside here, and perhaps we'll try to pass him, but may not be able to get it through the source right now, but we'll certainly keep up his battle through the camel straight. Look at that. Frisky tries very best here to try to break up Ratnyanke's racing line here, but to no avail. Ratnyanke will be able to side and clash into each other. They clashed each other, and right now, Sri Lanka is able to pull ahead here, while Frisky, the Indonesian, has ended up into the wall.
Well, Frisky was being very frisky with his defense there for a second. He actually was waving left and right. He knew that the gap was closing. He should have left the space there by being in the middle of the road, but has clattered the side of Savi Ratnyanke. And for Savi, in Savi's defense, he just kept the same line. We were on board with him the whole time. He didn't move an inch. Well, after that happened, Hazi Aslan and Amir Rafiq just got by in front of him. But Frisky, we were just waxing lyric about him that he manages to be competitive in this class regardless of what happened. But again, just too soon.
Well, consolation prize for him. He's still inside the point, so at least he wouldn't go back out of race 1 empty-handed. Evan Student-Nagel, unfortunately, has retired from this race. Such an unfortunate incident as well for him, because he got collected just innocently. He really, just a car, unfortunately, in the wrong place at the wrong time. But for cars that are in the right place at the right time, though, Jeremy Young and Justin Reldev are still very close. This is the last lap after all. Aranaga is already coming up to the bus stop chicane. We should be able to see him come across the line now for Sim Racing Lanka. Great amount of points here for the Sri Lankan as he has to navigate. So a back marker gets out of the way quickly there to allow our race leader through. He will take the checkered flag for the bronze class race number 1, celebrating away here for SRL.
And second place across the lines comes Azishami Mokhtar. He'll be happy with his second place. That it will kickstart his championship fight. But damage limitation all the way.
Hey.
Kirin managed out to third. And look at Justin Roldev. He manages to overtake Jeremy Young on the last lap across the line. And that minimizes the points deficit that he would have actually lost to Kirin. So he keeps his championship fight alive. Jeremy Young 5th. Youngjan fighting 6th with Rizwan Shah in 7th. After they both collided, no doubt that stewards will be looking at that too. 8th, Aiden Choi. 9th is Lakshman Iranchandran. And 10th, Savi Ratnyanke, who himself was involved in a big whack with Arif Frisky. But he will be on pole position for that second race. What a finish. And in fact, we still have finishes left, right, and center going across the line. Now fall Ainuddin just pips Lukman Hakim in the M92 Ferrari to P17 and 18 respectively. As Neeraj Yasha we're looking at, he was second at one point, dropped all the way to the back after being involved in a massive collision with Aziz Shami. Well, Aziz as well will be having an asterisk beside his name here. guys.
Yeah, already gathered around in front of the photographers here. Look at the pile of cars just parked up on the side of the road here. But that's race number 1, and now done and dusted here for our bronze class. We're going to be getting ourselves set up for race number 2. Oh, I think there's going to be a lot of decisions going to be coming true from the racing stewards there because of the amount of like bumps and grinds that we've been having here.
Yeah, and we did say earlier that we're saying that please keep it steady, don't go overboard. We had a very good first clean lap, and after that it was all just all bets are off afterwards. Everyone just went all in, and we saw the amount of huge collisions. I think some of those ones may be aimed at squarely at certain individuals that we caught on camera, especially Kataran, who was involved in 2 high-profile accidents.
Yeah, so I mean that took out Elliot Stuenagel, who had to retire before the end of the race here. So that's certainly going to be controversial for sure. What's not controversial though is that Aranaga, like to be fair, after he took the lead of the race, he pretty much kept it clean all throughout. So a very well-deserved win for the Sim Racing Lanka driver here, and especially for Justin Rauldev and Fitri Anwar, both of them still finishing back-to-back here, which means that for one, damage limitation has been done very well here for Justin Rauldev, and if not out of like skill, really out of luck here, because a lot of the drivers who were leading in front of him, as it were, got unfortunately nicely for him.
Yep, and recovered quite well given all the fact that something happened to the server. We saw him on pole position, but then suddenly dropped it all the way to P17, which was nothing of our control. We did not do anything here.
Yeah,
we were just watching the cameras.
That was a really weird one, and hopefully maybe we'll find out after this race if there's some sort of glitch or something. But that was a very strange one there, because Kirin did qualify in pole, at least on our screens here, but had to start from the back of the grid when everyone got set up inside the grid slots. So that was a very strange one. Still good on Kirin to be able to get himself back onto the podium. So that's very much like off his own skills there, I have to say.
Yeah, it will keep his championship fire alive. And credit to where credit is due as well for Justin Rauldev. He manages to just recover something out of that despite having a poor start himself and finishes P4. He did Jeremy Yao on the very final lap at the very final corner. We unfortunately missed that because he had to focus on the drivers in front crossing the flag to take the victory. But regardless of that, here are where the drivers are sitting. And for Savi Rasniake, that's the run up to turn 1, a 200-meter run. He has clean air, but if he gets a box start, he will have to face the wrath of drivers behind. And certainly, drivers behind here, the likes of Tehane Ranga, who won that first race, he'll be happy to be here. And we'll have to view the driver right at the back. For example, Haziq Aslan. Oh no, in fact, Haziq Aslan's actually right up there. Let's see, who was actually right at the back that we have just now? Shahrar Amri, for example. He's right at the back. But regardless of that, we're going to get ready here, Vic.
Yep, it's going to be a start once again. This is now the second and last race here for the bronze class. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, the red lights are on. And we're off for race number 2 of the bronze class. Radnyake is now taking the inside. He's not facing any challenges right now. Going to the line. Oh, will he though? Choi almost had a look on the inside there, but Radnyake takes a very safe line throughout. Cars are now coming together, 3 wide, 4 wide sometimes. I think someone just spun out there. One of the BMWs, in fact, is facing the wrong way around on the track as the rest of the pack flows all the way through the Eau Rouge. Bit of contact there, but most of the front runners are still able to stay single file line.
And there was a couple of cars that actually crashed on the way up to Eau Rouge and Radium. We're actually watching Kirin right now. Lukmano Hakim is one of those guys that has actually retired from the race. Here comes Kirin, bumping the back of Jeremy Yao. He wants a bump drop. Coming out to Lake Combe. It's going to be quite tight here. Right outside he goes. Can he take it? Jeremy's going to provide a good fight here. We're going to stay on board with him because he is the championship leader coming into this race after all. He's the one that is actually going to be the person of interest.
Yeah, Ngoyon Jin, that's in the meantime falling very nicely to Sabi Ratnyake. He's going to be up in second place right now. In the meantime, our championship leader here, seeing his teammate Lakshman put his elbows out. on the outside of no-name corner. Lakshman will continue to give a bit of draft here. That may be helping Anwar right now to stay ahead of Choi, but only just. Now they're coming into Puon, having his tap on the brakes a little bit here in order to be able to make this corner. Choi tucks in behind, and Fitri Anwar secures his 6th position.
That is a nice bit of teamsmanship right there. And Lakshman, for good measure, gives Shaki Fitri, Kirin, the way through because he knows full well that he is fighting for the championship. So, again, it might just be slight team orders, but in the grand scheme of things, it will come to fruition as, oh no, Lakshman,
boy.
Lakshman loses it, nearly loses it. Hayden Choi is now going to be the one right behind. And behind them is Azishami Mokhtar, who's watching brief.
Yeah, the AMGs now are just smelling the blood in the water right now as both the sector 3, so that's putting them a bit of a back foot right now, and that's where that's going to allow Justin Reldev to extend his lead now. He's up in 1.6 seconds here as we enter the bus stop chicane. You can see Hayden Choi having a look at the outside. He tries to swing around the inside. Unfortunately, Shami Mokhtar has to take evasive action, but the Hong Kong driver is going to try to elbow his way up alongside Lakshman Dashiran, trying to stay alongside him through the main straight. He will have the advantage going to La Sorts if he can outbrake the HSM driver.
And further behind, more accidents. Zarivan is involved in that one. Once again, he's just a victim of circumstance. And in front of him, Alpha Nainuddin was involved in that particular scuffle as well. And behind them is Mikael Iqbal. And it looks as though that is Julian Nino Gonzalez. Really tough runs for all involved here. But back up to that battle up in front.
Yep, back up in front. Goyeon Jen is able to get himself alongside Sabi Ratniyake. Both of them will be gunning their way up and through the entirety of the Camel Straight, braking hard now. Goyeon Jen has to take around the outside. Could not quite find the speed to take Sabi Ratniyake in the next corner though, so Sabi stays in the lead of the race. Now through the Combs into Brussels here. Very critical moment here for both of the drivers. It could be anyone's lead right now. Goyoung Jin having to brake a little bit. This is a very tricky corner because the camber is bad here, mind you. But good to see that all 3 of these drivers, all 4 of these drivers, in fact, still following pack light as we go through the no-main corner into Puon.
Well, we have to stay with Young Jin because Azishami Mokhtar has been knocked out. He's in P21 right now. But we cannot focus on that here because we need to look at the driver in immediate vicinity of the winner of the race here. Yongjan, we saw how he was fighting with Rezwan Shah and they got really involved. Well, here's Rezwan Shah right behind him.
Yep.
So these two have not lost each other one bit and they did finish nose to tail in that previous race. Rezwan knows full well that he might be out for revenge and he's thinking about it.
Oh boy, that looked a little bit too close to touch there, but Rezwan was able to stand on the brakes just in the nick of time there to avoid clattering into the back of Goyoung Jin, but then unfortunately opened up a bit of a gap. And in the meantime, Justin Reldev probably is loving this right now because he's now within touching distance of a podium here. It's turning into a 4-way battle right now for what is potentially the lead of the race. Sabi Radiyake is only 0.7 of a second ahead of Goyoung Jin. These cars will no doubt come together very close after the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, let's see that. Where's Justin gonna go? He thinks about the outside. Rezwan also breaks inside, very narrow, to follow Yongjan's move because Yongjan was going narrow as well. But that exit was poor from Rezwan Shah that time, and that allows Justin to get up to the back of him. Is he thinking about going to turn number 1? Rezwan is going narrow again. And all the while then, Sami Rahnyake is actually loving this because he can actually allow the drivers to get at the back of him as Amirafi, in fact, is going to come out the pits right into the path of everybody.
Yeah.
We know that he can actually drive cleanly and he, smartly just stays his line.
Yeah, stays close to that wall there. Justin Reldev cutting a little bit on Radion. He will be alongside Rezwan Shah now, going on the Camel Straight. Now both of them will not have the advantage having anyone in front. It looks like it might be a miss shift there just now. Both of these cars kind of look moving a little bit weird as we now approach a Camel corner. It looks like Rezwan Shah will still have his position here, still will be in a good place to defend against Justin Reldev, at least up until they get to Brussels.
Yeah, but that's a bit quickly for Rezwan. And there we go. Justin might think of moving onto the inside. Does he make it? But Rezwan goes very deep on the brakes coming through Brussels. Still side by side between both of them. And all the while, then Kirin's just right behind. But Justin sweeps around the outside, cleanly through. And that will be a move that he will look back on and say, that will probably win me the championship.
Yeah, I think Rezwan Shah, knowing that Kirin's just behind him, would more than likely try to work together with him now to try to catch up to Justin Reldev, who is now looking like he's going to pick up a podium here on race number 2. In the meantime, the two front runners here, Ngoyong Jen as well as Sabi Ratnayake, continuing to dogfight their way up in front here. They haven't quite had the opportunity yet to make another pass. Ngoyong Jen came really close last time around. Can he get even closer on this lap?
Ooh, there's a bit of a scuffle there because Haziq Azlan, I think, is the one that has dropped out. Yes, in fact, because Tehan Ranga was right behind him, it might have been the reason why Haziq Azlan has actually dropped it all the way now to P17. He was on the fringe points, but he is now going to go walk away with 0 here as the rest of the field now try to get positions out of him. Ooh, Sharkawi, Elde Sharkawi behind, and that's a little interesting scrap. In between all of that is Aziz Shami Mokhtar, who would be quite miffed. Oh, something happened to the front as Yongjan actually. Oh, in fact, that might have been Yongjan letting through Justin Reldev.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Reldev has now moved up into the P2, and also at the same time, Redzwan Shah got passed here by Kirin. So both of these drivers now are still having one car in between each other. Kirin still needs to fight past Ngoyong Jen here in order to continue to bring this fight to Justin Reldev, but that will be a fight on the podium itself. And the whole time, Sabi Ratnayake is continuing to extend his lead into Eau Rouge now. Look at the gap now between our race leader and the rest of them.
1.5 seconds in it, but that is a safe buffer for now because Sabi was under intense pressure from Yongjan. Maybe there was a slight touch from Yongjan and Ratnayake that allowed Justin Reldev to come through. All the while, then Kirin is not that far behind either, so this guy be quite a very tasty little battle for the podium.
Oh, tasty indeed, and Fatih Anwar is certainly loving the deliciousness of this battle right now because you can see Justin Reldev just in front of Ngoyong Jen. He knows he just needs to get past this one AMG and then he will be able to take on the other AMG. Going a little bit wide through Brussels there. Ngoyong Jen struggling a little bit to navigate this corner here, and that's putting him right into the clutches of Kirin here. So Kirin just needs to get a good exit out here. Perhaps he might be able to challenge him through Puan, or perhaps if he can stay close enough to these pack of cars here, bring this fight all the way to the bus stop. Oh, look at that. Ngoyong Jen almost getting clattered there.
Yeah, but again, you have to remember because Justin, if the Shake feature manages to get by Yongjan, will be behind the championship rival.
Oh, that was so close.
Very, very close. If you're Yongjan, your heart might have skipped a beat for a second there. We definitely were on the edge of our seats when we saw that one. As a couple more times have come through, Ivan Wijaya looks as though you can see the D right beside his name. He's got it away as Yongjan.
Yongjan mistake there. Riding on the curves has slowed him down, and now Kirin will be able to cut him, and finally does do that even before they get into the bus stop. So this is a disaster here for Ngoyong Jen, who was running in second place only moments before. Now he's got passed now by the Handshake Racing's lead driver here, as it were. Very tough proposition here. If he cannot find the speed, he does not find the speed. So Kirin stays up in P3.
Well, Kirin's definitely been a man on a mission after qualifying on pole position. Got sent to the back of the grid for no apparent reason apart from probably a server error. Jumped his way up to the podium. Back onto the podium here again after starting from P8. Really is fired up here. He knows full well what's at stake. If he gets a very good score in this round, which no doubt he will be, he is going to be coming into the final round of the season as champion-elect, and he will love that particular tag. Meanwhile, further behind here, Kenny Lim and Elliot Stevenagel are in their own little battle. And once again, Papega and Handshake. They're actually the two teams that are battling at it all the way.
You alluded to an Indonesian civil war. This is the Malaysian civil war having here. Although we have a member of the Foreign Legion, maybe, in the form of Elliot.
Oh, that's close.
Oh boy, that's so close there. Look at the way Kenny's just cutting him around the outside. He's already got plenty of momentum, though, coming into... touching each other right now. Elliot has to stay, struggle in order to keep his car under control. There is Kenny Lim. He unfortunately had to concede a position there to Elliot. He falls back down to 11th place.
And Tesla Elong thought he could get a position out there. There's another one of those teams that has special liveries here. Nice touch that Track Esports have a very distinct identity. All yellow with a bit of honeycomb. Makes you think of honey and cheese. But congratulations to the bronze teams. They definitely put a lot of thought into this. And of course, the copper teams just now, we had some of them put in, but a lot of recognizable liveries as Haziq Azlan has once again dropped it. In fact, this might be just towards... It's a penalty, so he had to get rid of Corner Cup penalty, and unfortunately for him, he's dropped it all the way to P21, and what was starting out to be a points-paying position, he will have to put it in the bin and focus on next week?
Well, the thing is, he's got still his plenty of teammates already up inside the points right now. We got of course, Fitri Anwar, aka Kirin. We got Rezwan Shah. We also got Kenny Lim as well. Currently in P12, he's just got passed right now by Chesa Elok, just right in front of our eyes here. So unfortunately, he loses a bit of points out of that. The Filipino driver now just having a nice, delicious run into 11th place.
And meanwhile, another HSM cars on the tag. You can see how many HSM cars are in this race, and this is another one of them. Lashman Ilan Cherin is under pressure from Iranga. Iranga, we know how far he can take. Does it around the outside? Can he make it stick? Yes, he does. Lost of the lane breakers. Sim Racing Lankas. Tehan Iranga is on fire today. He won the first race, and he shows once again his battling abilities. But there is an asterisk to his name because he might have caused a couple of collisions here and there, but take nothing away from his bravery. That takes a lot of balls.
A lot of kahunas for sure there for Tehan Iranga. Nice job there to move up into 6th place. He's still got another HSM driver to catch up to, but he's still about 4, maybe 5 seconds away from that, so might still be a long shot for him in order to make another place. But good on him though. That was a very, very brave move from him.
Wow, we are so glad we caught that one because it was close at one point, and Iranga just stamps it on the brakes, makes sure to make the mistake. And in fact, he is now having to do a bit of defending because the Ford, this particular circuit, is much faster compared to the Mercedes on the straight. It's now how Iranga just put that to perfection. Now in his defense, will try to take a position away from Lashman as well if he was to be obliged.
Yeah. Porsche is getting really close to the Mustang though, so I think that might come sooner rather than later. Only 2 minutes still remain in this bronze class race number 2. Last shot for these drivers in order to try to make up some positions here, but it's still going to be a tight one here for sure. Arifitsky, Lakshman is also slid a little bit on Puhan. That's going to slow him down a little bit on the exit. Arifitsky is now all over him, trying to cut into position, but unfortunately he has conceded a little bit, or will find the inside on the next turn. He moves up a place here, cutting the, closing the exit there. But HSM driver is not giving this one up. He's still going to try to fight back, still trying to stay on the tail of that Porsche. He will stay on him through sector 3.
And we saw previously how Chester Elok got the better of Kenny Lim that way. It looks as though that corner is just inviting outside moves, and I can't wait to see how the hypercars will handle that one after this, as Kirin and where's Kirin in this one? Kirin manages to get away with it.
Yeah, and Rezwan Shah as well passes Myung Jin to move up into 4th place. That's a lot more points coming the way of HSM Racing. But Justin Rolodev is still 2.6 seconds away. 1 minute remains in this race. I don't think they will be able to catch up that quickly, but that is a massive, massive haul of points here coming the way of HSM Racing.
Yeah, I'm not sure who dropped out of the positions because I remember that Lashman was fighting for P9, I think, with Ripsky. But whatever it is, what a big turn of events, because we saw how close Yongjun was to the back of Shake Fitri, and he unfortunately has wilted a bit in that particular instance as more and more the times come through on our timing screens. Ahmad Nurisa is the latest to get jettisoned from this race, but wow, freeway you look.
Yeah, Electra now it's trying to catch up to Frisky. He's getting the draft on the Camel Straight. It is Mustang versus Porsche, front engine versus rear engine. The front engine now tries to go around the outside. Tries to find a lead, but Frisky cooks it though on the exit. Was there a touch there? But that's a circle.
Frisky might be just throwing in the towel, and there you go, he's left the race. That was really unfortunate. It looked as though that was the slightest of collisions with Lashman that allowed Lashman to come through, but he touched him a bit just so slightly to send him spinning, and Stevenagel is the big beneficiary of that. Meanwhile, Ratnayake and Justin Roldev are fighting for the win here. Sabi lost so much time in this final lap. Now, Justin, will he take off points in this one? Will he think of going for the win, or will he be set up for second? I think he will go for the win.
It feels like he has nothing to lose now at this point, right? I mean, he's 3 seconds away from Anwar, so even if he backs up a little bit from this battle, it might still be the opportunity. But one last opportunity remains in this battle here, because that bus stop chicane is still miles out. Justin has to chance. Whoa, what the heck happened there? Raniake pinged out of, just flipped out of our view just now. Comes back into first place. Justin Raudev is still following him into the bus up chicane. That looked like it was a slight error on the server side, but Justin is still behind Savi Raniake. Savi taking a defensive line. Justin Raudev still trying to cut around. Cannot quite catch him under braking. He might try to catch him on the main straight, but Savi Raniake is blocking him all the way to the grass. But still, Savi Raniake takes the win in race number 2.
Pipped him down the line, and Justin, well, he might be feeling a bit hard done by knowing the fact that there was a bit of a slight ping error from Savi that got into his car. Probably a bit of damage, but make no mistake, that was great driving for Savi, who takes the win here by just under 0.2 of a second. Second place is Justin Raudev, third, Shake Victory, and he will maintain his... Fifth will be Yongjan, sixth Tehan Ranga, race 1 winner who fought his way valiantly and pulled out some brilliant moves of his own. 7 will be Lashman Ilancharan, 8th Elliot Stonenagle, fitting with his car number. 9th is Chester Elok, who was at one time in the top 10 in the championship, and 10th, Kenny Lim manages to just pip past Hayden Choi for P10. What a finish.
What a finish. And best of all, because both Kieran as well as Justin, that means this championship battle is going to go to the final round.
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. That's almost like exit stage right.
Indeed it was. That is the bronze class now done and dusted. Race number 2 is now over, and boy, this is really just gonna go until the final round, isn't it? Like, that the championship battle is still very much on, even though Justin Raudev technically did get the best of Kieran. Kieran still has, I believe, mathematically the lead in this championship.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see when the official results do come out, but well done from both of these drivers. I mean, for one, for Kieran, you know, not giving up at that first race to be able to get himself back on the podium for a finish there in the first race, and then the second race still able to get on the podium yet again, still keeping within touching distance of Justin Raudev all throughout. This is an amazing championship battle we're having here for the bronze class.
Indeed. And we have to get a shout out to the Sri Lankans. That's a double win.
That's a double win.
Tehan won the first race, and then Savi wins it in the second one just by the slightest of margin. So glad to say. And we're certainly grateful for them because they got some great support online. And of course, for the guys involved in the championship fight, it's not over just yet. We are setting ourselves up well here for the final round of the season.
Exactly. So stick around, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vector Cax. Joining me here is Ammo, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Pewter is about possibilities. It is an idea made real. Crafted with precision. It can make tradition timeless. Pewter evolves. When allowed to be free, it can captivate you. Pewter is our legacy, and we're keeping the legacy alive. Royal Selangor, since 1885.
My name is Victor Cax. Joining me here is Amo. We're going to be your commentators as we bring you guys now the main course here on Friday the 13th. This is round number 3 of Spa-Francorchamps. We've already done the copper class race. We've already done the bronze class race. And now it is Spa-Francorchamps. So as we have a look on the standings here, you can see that Roy Rip has come back now to take the lead in the driver's standings after round number 2, but only by just 3 points. Raja Mio Shaukat, the Malaysian, is currently challenging him for that position there. And Gerlani Haki from Indonesia, very much in the running as well here, with respectable 56 points there to Raja Mio Shaukat 63 and Roy Rip's 66. So very, very tight championship battle here, I would have to say, for the gold class, and it's certainly going to be one that would be exciting to see if this is going to carry on until the final round. In the meantime, for our silver class, it's very much been a dominant streak here for Muhammad Fauzo Alim, the winner of Global Edition 15. He is a champion in Global Edition 15. He's now going to continue his run here in the silver class, having stayed ahead of both Dominic Foon as well as Felix Young throughout this whole silver class affair here in GE16.
Yeah, and it's a dichotomy, isn't it? One, gold is very close, but fast. It's a bit of a mixed bag, but again, don't count your chickens just yet. You never know what's going to happen. And for Fauzo Alim, he knows that full well. After what happened in bronze last season, he looked on course to win there, but then the final round smacked him right in the face, and he lost out the championship by just a handful of points too. None other. Don't discount anybody. On course for the win.
Again, it's never over until it's over, and we're only about halfway through the season here, being on round number 3 of 4. So it's still very much up for grabs here. A lot of points are still on the line here for all of our championship drivers here, both in the gold as well as the silver class. Silver session is about to close out. We're going to be jumping into qualifying really soon for both our gold and silver class drivers. We're now on board with Gerlani Haki, driving one of the gold class cars, the LMDH, as it were here. Certainly a perfect machine to be used out here on Spa-Francorchamps. This being a very fast, very endurance racing technology right here on track.
Certainly, the apex of what we can say is a prototype race car that can be used for endurance racing, and it's perfect as well because right now it is one of the most eclectic, diverse regulations out there, with so many hypercars out on track nowadays that, well, manufacturers in the real world, we're glad to also have it represented in the virtual here with Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Toyotas, 'cause, you name it, it's all there.
Yes, there.
'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause, you name it, it's all there. 'Cause
gold class for sure. Silver class is going to be using the Orica LMP2 cars. They're going to be a little bit slower, but only just that tiny bit slower. I mean, you can already see the difference in terms of pace from that practice times there. You can see that the gold class drivers can easily break under that 2-minute mark, whereas the LMP2 cars are would struggle a little bit to match that kind of performance. Looking like Aziz right now having a faster time, 2:06, but I think it could drop even faster later on as we officially run through qualifying.
Yeah, Razi Aziz. A handful of teams have had entries in all the classes, and Handshake Malaysia is one of them, and it's paying dividends big time with the points table has never been closer than before. So that's one to watch out for. A different car this time. It's a Acura being driven by Muhammad Dafa, and well, there's some Microsoft sponsors on that. I'm not sure if Microsoft goes for that, but you know, it's nice to see some real colors on the grid.
I would just love to get like a Linux logo somewhere in the mix, you know, and then like an Apple car just just hanging around somewhere in the midfield.
Just to, you know, stick it to a few of them, or just to put it for banter.
You know, it's like, you know, we're already way past the era of like tobacco advertising. I think we want more like digital advertising, especially given that this is an online digital series here. So kind of appropriate, I got to say. Nevertheless, we're going to be kicking things off now with our 6-minute qualifying session. All the cars will be coming up very quickly. One of them jumped the gun a little bit there, spinning out on the exit of the pit lane. Not the best place to be in, I'm afraid.
I'm not sure who's that. I thought it was Jusmin for a second that spun out, and it looked, yes, no, it's not. It was one of the Toyotas, but can't find which one is it. But whatever, that was quite an embarrassing way to start a qualifying session, as now some of the LMP2 cars are in the mix with the hypercars.
Yeah, I think it would be wise for them to try to let the gold class drivers pass. Of course, they're not exactly racing in the same class, so the last thing you want to do is to interfere with a championship battle on the other end of the spectrum, as it were. Cameron James is going to be able to dispatch the LMP2 drivers. He's going to have a nice clear track in front of him. Michael Vincent Velasquez being caught up in a bit of a gaggle of cars right now, a mix of LMP2 cars as well as LMDH cars. Now start. Right now, still going to be up in the air right now to see how the qualifying session is going to turn out. We know that from history, Ripper Rip has been an absolute specialist when it comes to qualifying in multiple tracks. I think this side of Spa may not be that different either.
Yes, but he might be fast in qualifying, but he did say before in the interviews, in races he sweats a bit because of, well, he sweats almost literally as well. He's been drenched twice, but he seems to be not so kind on his tires compared to the rest of his competitors. So we'll wait and see how this will go for Roy. But no doubt in qualifying, he's one to watch.
He's definitely going to be one to watch out for. But he's only got the Indonesian in the form of Vishnu in front of him, so enough they can at least have a nice benchmark to see how this Ferrari will stack up against the Cadillac. So first batch of cars will be through on the line. They're going to be starting off their flying laps right about now as Roy Demare Ripper Rip takes them to La Source and now dives into Eau Rouge and Rad. Or Copper Class GT4s and GT3s there is just swoop and swoop. Look at that. The amount of grip on these LMDH cars. Just no trouble at all to stay on the line here in Radeon.
Yeah, LMH, LMDH, that's the two regulations we run. We run both sets of hypercar regulations that, or prototype regulations that have been introduced to the world since 2021. With 2022, of course, it's when LMDH was introduced. Regardless of that, you can see it was top gear, 270 plus kilometers per hour for Roy Ripper. He didn't even have to back off. The car barely broke a sweat coming through there. But for the time being, though, it looks as though in terms of sector times, Roy is fastest overall here. But again, it's only because this is the first proper lap. It's a banker lap for these guys. Next time by will be the first full flying lap, and we can definitely see how the barometer is going to be set.
Yeah, I can see Roy Ripper Rip right now on your screens here. He's got his teammate watching keenly over his shoulders there. Oh boy, you can see a bit of traffic coming on there as Haywood Sui, who is I think one of the back markers, or one of the cars that came out later on the pits, is coming in the way of Ripper Rip here. It might be wise for him to try to stay out of the way. Yep, he just breaks out of the way off of the racing line, so that allows Ripper Rip nicely through. Can continue on this flying lap. So who else is going to be up on the line here? I mean, we've got Ramdani, who has also been stellar when it comes to qualifying. He's also running on the Ferrari as well as Ripperip. So those are two very important benchmarks that we can watch out here inside of this gold class. Vishnu right now will be the first to come across the line. He's already in the bus stop chicane. Roy Ripperip has to brake low and very late there. He can brake very, very late with these LMDH cars for sure. But now, coming across the line, what is the time going to be? Vishnu, 158.9, Ripperip, 158.6. Ramdani's only managed to put a 159, but Dominic Foon has just moved up into first pole position provisionally, 158, almost flat.
And he's got immediate company in the form of Ahmad Jusmin, who's driving the Korean flag somehow. But Dominic unfortunately cannot improve his lap because he's got Jusmin in front.
Yep. Jusmin right now is just being a bit of a hassle here for Dominic Foon, who is clearly a little bit faster. Drew Rouge now has to dodge out of the way. Perhaps the draft he got off of that Ferrari might help him a little bit on this lap. There's still 1 minute and 22 seconds here. I think this could be the last qualifying lap for most of these drivers here, as Dominic Foon right now continues to dominate here, even inside of this gold class. 158, almost flat for him in the provisional pole time. Clapano is still like 0.3 of a second off of that time, so it's certainly a very, very hard, very high benchmark that Dominic Foon has pulled up here.
Yeah, but he nearly made it to the 57, so it shows that it is possible in these cars. Let's see what Roy has in the... But look at these gaggle of cars coming by. It is amazing, isn't it, how fast they just whiz in front of our cameras and just really put the time in on the board.
Exactly. I mean, you already had like the copper class and bronze class to compare to. These are so much faster. I mean, these cars are breaking easily under the 2-minute mark here on Spa Francorchamps, and this is a track that really really fits so well to the ethos of prototype racing, right? It's extremely fast, extremely long straights, and extremely fast corners here, and just so conducive for these LMDH and LMH cars.
Indeed. And speaking of which, let's see if the pace can be shown here by Roy Ripperip. Comes out the final corner. He's following Calpano, and he takes it by 200ths of a second. Just under 200ths in front of that. But Ripperip, Poon goes through. Wow! 0.8 of a second faster, and he jumps back into the pits. Well, there you go. He says, if you want to beat me, beat that.
I think he's issuing a challenge for everyone on the grid. Who can break under 158 right now? Ripperip is only the closest one to do so outside of Dominic Foon. Rajamil Shaukat puts a close enough effort, but not enough. Still a 10 of a second away from breaking under 158 here. Clapano is also about 0.2 of a second away from breaking under that 158. Very, very close qualifying that we're seeing here inside the gold class. In the silver class, in the meantime, 2:03 is the time to beat, as Mohamed Fawzul Alim has done it again. He still stays on that pedal. As I say that, he spins out in the bus stop chicane. He's going to be calling it quits here, but that's certainly a very competitive time here for the silver class.
Yep, Felix Young, teammate to Dominic Poon, who still stays in silver class, whereas Dominic has actually made a jump to the gold class. He goes slightly faster. I think he stays second in the LMP2 silver class, with Shawn Michaels, now the wrestler of course, in P3. But cars are still out on track, and we're waiting to see what Roy Ripperip has in store in this final lap. Oh no, never mind! Spoke too soon.
Yep, just decides to cancel that. We still have Clapano continuing on here through Sector 3, so he may be able to try to improve his time. So far, his best here has been a 158.188. He's going to try to aim to get as close as possible to 158 flat, or even under that, and that will secure him a place on the podium for sure. He needs to be able to overcome Rajam. Want to try to overcome Dominic Foon, although that time there, 157.2, may be a bit too high of a bar to overcome. Alex Capano now comes across. Quite, it is still 4th place here for Alexis Clapano.
Yep, but the hero of the hour right now is Dominic Poon, making the jump up from the silver class. He wants to prove a point, and he has proven so far in just the qualifying session. Now let's see if he can convert it in the first race.
That's right. I mean, it's great to see him now being able to fight with the elite class, as it were, for the global edition here, and to see to see like the Hong Kong flag being flown here. I mean, there's so much diversity going on in our grid, isn't it? Not just in terms of the makes and models that we have inside the gold class, but just the different regions that are being represented from not just different clubs and different teams that are participating in this, but also just from the outside of just Malaysia and Southeast Asia alone, isn't it? So that, as it were, this is the standings for our first race of gold class / silver class. We've got Felix, we've got Dominic Foon right now in pole position for the gold class. Muhammad Fawzul Aleem in pole position for the silver class. It's still going to be up to how these drivers perform later on in this race here to determine how things would shape up for the end of our season. This is only round number 3, mind you. There's still going to be one more weekend to go here before we can put a cap at the end of Global Edition number 16.
Indeed, and still cannot put our finger on who's going to be the favorite in any of the classes. Even if there were some runaway leaders, still, nothing's for certain.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in that final round.
A double retirement, you know, in race 1 and race 2, it means you earn 0 points. That can certainly make things wide open for the race leader. And I think Fawzul Aleem, you know, having a lot of experience in running G14, knows how, since G14 being a champion in that season, knows how fickle that kind of lead can be sometimes. So nevertheless, we're going to get started right now, having a nice view of the rear vents here of Felix Young's car. And it's been great seeing both Felix as well as Dominic Food battle their way up. I've started seeing the class, and with Dominic Food now fighting amongst the gold class drivers here, this is going to be exciting round number 3 here for GE16. So Ripper Rip, he's got Ripper Rip for company here alongside. Ripper is going to have to take the wider side of Lasaurus, whereas Dominic Foon will have the inside, as is tradition for the pole sitter here in Spa Francorchamps. We also got Raja Amir Shaukat, the fastest of the Malaysians in the gold class here, and one of those who is going to be in the running for this gold class championship already lined up. Red lights are on, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be go time now for race number 1. Gold and silver class for Global Edition number 16 is go. Dominic Foon having a brilliant start, able to keep himself way ahead of Ripper Rip there. He's going to be able to take the apex first, but watch out from the inside there. Another Ferrari, a blue one. Ramdani may be alongside, if not already ahead of Ripper Rip. Look at that. Already in front here is Kanzani Ramdani as he goes through Arush, onto Radion. Dominic Foon running away with an almost 1 second lead. A few cars going a little bit wide, and a clatter together as Rajamir Shortcut joins safely there, and unfortunately runs into the side of another car.
Oh, let's see what's going to be the damage in this car. Luckily, no suspension damage, but he has lost a lot of momentum. Look at that, most of the field coming by as the P2s collide. Oh, that's going to hit him. Oh, Hardy and Nick was one of them. He actually got forced off there by, I think Shawn Michaels might have been the one that actually forced him off into the grass. But chaotic start, and it's not even done yet. That is Aryadi Vishnu coming to a stop, probably because he cut the track somewhere.
Iman Ryan able to get past Dianto, is going to try to run up against Ryan Mushin right around now. Galandi Haki in the meantime trying to keep Kapano honest here as we get into Puhan. Iman Ryan right now on your screens, he's still continuing to stay in that P7, having to defend against 2 cars who are currently tussling just behind him. A Toyota as well as a Lamborghini, and maybe even another car just in between the 2 of them. Galandi Haki, as I mentioned earlier, able to move himself up into 5th place, is now keeping the pressure on Klapano here for that 4th place. In the meantime, Dominic Foon already running away with that 1 second lead after Kanzani Ramdani dispatched Ripper Rip at the start of this race. He stays in that P2 position, and it's going to be a very interesting turnout for this race here.
Indeed, but let's see how Dominic can actually either pull the gap, or can Ramdani actually reel in the gap to make it an interesting race up in front. Rip Rip and his worst fears have come, isn't it? He did say that he sweats over the race pace. Well, it's come to fruition right now, but the start at least, oh, something happened there behind. Haki, I think, got by Kalapano. In fact, Haki has actually dropped the position. He's actually gonna have to let the entire field by to wait until he gets rid of the penalty, and he's now gonna try to dispatch Iman Ryan coming to turn number 1. He does. Big lockup, but Iman Ryan switches back to get back up to P6.
Yeah, he might have made a mistake at the bus stop, so he may have to slow down in order to avoid the cut track penalty. That might be why he had to let the other cars pass, but oh my god, Eamon Ryan is just not giving him pace at all though, going into Eau Rouge, forcing him to back out of that here. He's still going to be stuck behind Eamon Ryan all through the Camel Straight, so he may have an opportunity to try to get a draft here to try to regain some momentum, but he lost quite a few positions there. Cameron James is now currently holding the position that he was in early on. Now he goes around the outside. Eamon Ryan, well done that move, but he hasn't quite closed the door yet. Eamon Ryan will still cut back on him, perhaps onto Brussels, but for now, Gerlandi Haki sits in P6. You can see Samparena Dianto is now trying to put a move on Eamon Ryan, getting very close there through Brussels, as Eamon Ryan had to take the wider line, but Samparena is going to try to go alongside, cannot quite get alongside Eamon Ryan through no-name corner.
Yep, Samparena coming now onto the inside of Eamon Ryan. Eamon's getting swamped left, right, and center, the young Bruneian, but hangs on to it for the time being as the rest of the field now come behind him versus Michael Vincent Velasquez, Ryan Musin, and then Ahmad Jusmin. All the while then, Adam Harif Murdoch, he didn't have the best of starts, did he? Because he's dropped all the way to P12, but watching brief, as you can see, he has a gaggle of cars right in front of him.
Yeah, I believe it was in 17th place around the start, so in fact it's actually a good recovery here from Adam Harif, though he's still quite far away from the front runners, as it were, for the gold class, so he still has a lot of work ahead of him, but perhaps if he can fight his way up into 10th place, he could set himself up. And I expect, but it's still a lot of challengers for him to get up into place. No less his own teammate here, Ryan Musin, is currently holding on to the 10th place, but he just got cut around the inside there, as I believe Ahmad Jusmin has just cut him around the bus stop chicane, takes him out, and unfortunately, Ryan Musin spins out in the final corner.
It's Murdoch. It's Murdoch. Murdoch spins it by himself, and he avoids hitting the... Oh no, in fact, he's actually got it to a complete stop because he waits for the rest of the field, and he comes through the DR sign, but he has it all to do once again right at the back, Vic.
Oh man, started at 17th place, moved all the way up to 12, and now down to 22. He's if he had a lot of work ahead of him earlier, it's got even more work now, unfortunately. But Ryan Musin has already been passed by Velasquez, so Velasquez hold at 10th place. Eamon Ryan has just passed Galandi Haki now to move up into 6th place. Ryan Musin on your screens here. Michael Vincent Velasquez around the outside. Osman Jusmin fighting for that 9th spot. The Lamborghini versus the Ferrari here. Classic Italian civil war going on here. But it is Ryan Musin is just enjoying this battle here from his view. Ahmad Jusmin able to retake the position, so he stays in 9th place for now. Michael Vincent Velasquez is going to have to try again.
Yep, and all the while then Ryan Musin's just watching brief. He knows that if he manages to finish in P10th, he will get pole position for that second race. So he would love to see the both drivers in front of him at least come a crop with to get that. But it is fanciful thinking because those guys are going to be fast in terms of pace to just pull away. All the while then, we were actually focusing at one point, our race leader in the silver class, Fazal Alim, once again shows his dominance by being well ahead of Felix Young by about 2 seconds as he lets Ariadi Vishnu through, because Vishnu was the guy that actually nearly came to a dead stop when the rest of the field were coming by just now when he cut a corner. So he's on his recovery drive. All the hypercars are now mostly in front. Mostly hypercars in front. We are waiting for Murdoch to come to recover back. But looking at Fazal Alim, he is really in serene control in the silver class.
Very serene indeed, and you know, with that 2-second gap, it's more than enough of a buffer. In the meantime, we're back on the battle here for 9th. Spin gets touched from behind. Michael Velasquez slows down. Ryan Musin and Dafa gets through. So does Raja Miro Shaukat. Velasquez has to slow down a little bit. Ahmad Jusmin not able to return to the track here as more cars are still coming through from the bus stop. He cannot rejoin the track safely though. Ooh, look at that. One of the silver class cars had to go around the outside and dodge him because he's right on the curbs.
And he, in fact, just jumps back into the pit. So, unfortunately for him, that's his race done. Oh, that's a shame because, again, you might say that was on Velasquez because he could have actually just backed it off. But we saw multiple times how that happened. As here's Sampurna Dianto fighting with Galandi Haki, both our countrymen, and the Indonesian who got so short there is Haki. And he gets so short even more as he gets thrown into the gravel trap.
Yeah, but I think Sampurna actually rode the curbs on the inside there. That might unsettle his car a little bit, so he may not have ended up colliding into Gerlandi Haki. So a bit of an unfortunate situation, perhaps, at least from my perspective here. But regardless, that's widened up the gap between the two drivers now, put this battle on ice, as it were. Iman Ryan now putting a bit of pressure on Cameron James. Early on, we saw him fighting to get up into this position. Now he's looking like he might want to try to gain another position. This time, however, the Bruneian has to do it against an East Malaysian in the form of Cameron James.
Well, they're both on the East Malaysian side. One is Brunei.
Oh, technically,
yeah. They're both the Borneans, yeah.
Brunei is not part of Malaysia, but they're still part of Borneo for sure. So we have got what? We got an Indonesian Civil War, we got Malaysian Civil War, now we got a Borneo Civil War going on here. Look at the way Imran Ryan is catching out to Cameron James, so he might be able to catch him right on the bus stop. Breaking hard here. Cameron James has to defend from the outside. Still stays in a good line though. Stays in front of Ryan, but Iman catches him on the exit. They will be side by side on the main straight. Cameron James will have the inside going to Lutzors, but not if Imran Ryan cuts him first. And indeed he does, getting him right on the breaking point. Imran Ryan moves up into 5th place.
Wow, Cameron really got done there by the fact that Iman Ryan just managed to cut back on the inside, and a better drive out of Francorchamps. And I'm surprised that Cameron actually is driving today, because he's actually also taking part in the Sarawak Esports Expo. So somehow he manages to find the time to go back home and do the race tonight here, all while competing tomorrow morning in that coveted competition in East Malaysia. Whatever it is, he is doing a lot of racing this weekend, and first order of business is to try to get the better of a 14-year-old Bruneian who's proven to be quite one tough cookie to crack.
Indeed. But Cameron James is putting his best ever right now, just riding so aggressively over the curbs. That might unfortunately have lost him a bit of time. As now to get into Brussels, a very tricky corner to navigate because of the camber here. And now they're going into No Name Corner, aka Jackie X Corner, aka I don't know what the other names were. Speakers Corner. So yeah, this is going to Puhan right now. Cameron James continues to stay ahead, or is he ahead? Yeah, he is ahead of Saparna Dianto right now, who seems to be sensing an opportunity here. He's already caught up to that gap that Cameron James had earlier, so maybe Cameron is losing a bit of conditions on his tires, maybe, because he seems to be a little bit slower compared to the other cars around him.
Indeed, and well, we did say earlier that the Ferrari, well, according to Ripper as well, is not having the best of tire wears in terms for race management. But it looks as though Cameron, after that mistake that he led by Iman Ryan, and he went onto the gravel trap, is losing a bit of momentum here. And that allows Saparna Dianto to just come by and say, yep, let me have a crack at that.
Yep, only a half a second, and he will try to close up that gap as much as possible. A bit of a brake dust being put out there by Cameron James there. Maybe a slight lockup as he brakes hard into the corner. It's going to be another 5 minutes of racing here for the gold class and silver class in race number 1. Still a long way to go here for Dianto, and certainly he was going to be hoping to make the use of every single second that he has left in this race.
Indeed, and let's see then, power between the Toyota and the Ferrari. Of course, they're evenly matched as well. They put out the same output in terms of horsepower, around 700 horsepower, if not mistaken, just close to that between the two cars. But the power for the Toyota is that it has all 4 wheels turning, so it does have the advantage of, if it's in a spin, he can try to just whisk his way out of there, just like how the GR Yaris in WRC does it. And for the time being, though, for Cameron, it's not really paying dividends for now. He's still holding on to P6, but for how long here? Because Dianto is looking really racy behind him.
Yeah, so he's already catching up slowly but surely. So still more or less about half a second, but that is now dropped down to 0.3 of a second now as we enter Puhan. So he may be able to enjoy a bit of slipstreaming action by the time they get into Sector 3. So this is a very closely fought battle right now for Dianto, just inching ever so close now to the Toyota of Cameron James.
Through Piff Path or Fanyas up to campus, because there's an automotive campus on the inside of the circuit, might we add. So it's quite a crazy way of how the circuit developed over the years. Now we're back onto where the old circuit and the new circuit is put together, because Stavlo, the town of Stavlo on the other side, is where it joins the current racing circuit, which became permanent since 2000. Dianto might not be seeing the sight so much because he's setting his sights on the back of Cameron James. Can he try it? It looks as though, no, not yet.
Not quite yet, but he's getting he's closer than ever now. On to Cameron James. He might be able to catch him on the exit. Cameron James cooked it a little bit on the exit. Now they will be side by side. Oh, they're touching each other. They crash into each other on the main straight. Still trying to roll along here. You can see Glandi Haki now trying to cut around the outside of the two stricken cars. He will move up into 6th place here. The other two behind, though, man, that was just unbelievable.
Whoa! I'm not sure who's at fault there, because it looks though Sampurna was trying to cut across, and then Cameron was trying to just hold his line, but then he also turned left into the side of him, and that just causes a massive accident.
Massive accident indeed, and that's lost them both 1 place each. In the meantime, Rajamir Shaukat, who was running close to the podium early on, is now trying to fight his way up into 10th place, trying to find a slipstream here. He has a lot of momentum, dives into the inside here at the end.
Oh!
Try to hold on to it, but Dafa is still able to hang on for dear life. Still side by side now, coming out of Lacombe. A bit of a touch there on the front, but Rajamir Shaukat is through.
And did you see the BBC logo on the side of that? There it is.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
I'm not sure if the BBC sponsors them, but oh well.
Oh well.
It is what it is. But for Rajam Rishaka, he holds on. He gets the P10, and if he holds on to it, will be on pole position for the second race as Michael Vincent Velasquez him out into the grass and all the way to the back of the field. Now will have an opportunity to redeem himself here, but he'll have to do a bit more work to defend for that P10 because he knows Dafa and Velasquez are not going to give up that easily.
Yeah, it's Velasquez especially has been looking racy all throughout. It's just not have the best of luck so far. This time around, he's going to try to make it on pure merit alone. He's getting a lot of slipstream off of Dumama Dafa. He's getting a lot of momentum. So he approached through Sabalo. This is looking like it's going to be a close braking battle later on here. Which way he's going to take it? Around the outside, around the inside. He goes wide though. Tries to have a feel for it, but Dafa tries to dive onto Rajamil Shaukat at the same time. So a bit of a topsy-turvy situation in this three-way battle, exactly the way we like it here at eRGP.
It's a Lamborghini we're watching right now behind an Acura / Honda if you want to look at it that way, and a Toyota. So really multiple manufacturers between a Malaysian and Indonesian and a Filipino. So again, it could not get any more cosmopolitan than that. But Velasquez really is feeling quite antsy right now, knowing the fact that if he get by Dafa and go toe-to-toe with Shaukat, he could also redeem himself and start on pole position in the second race. Though Dafa is one to not give up. We saw how he fought hard with Shaukat. Now Velasquez on the camel straight, looking on the inside. He doesn't have enough room there for a second, but it does now open up, goes through, and Dafa fights it back. Side by side they go through Lake Combe, but Velasquez gets him.
Yeah, closes the door on him right as it exits Lecombes and into Brussels. Well done there for Michael Vincent Velasquez. Fortunately, that's still not going to be enough because he still needs to pass Rajamil Shaukat if he wants to get that competent pole position start for race number 2. But it's still more track left here as Aryani Vishnu now sends an opportunity, goes around the inside of Dafa. True Puon closes it immediately there. Well done for Aryani Vishnu.
Yeah, great bit of driving we see for everybody. And now Cameron James under pressure from his teammate in the same stable, the Handshake Racing team of Ryan Musin and Cameron James fighting for it. But let's see if Cameron's not going to relent that position. Meanwhile, on the final corner comes Dominic Poon. We didn't talk much about him because he's been leading all the way. And a good 7 seconds up in front, crosses the line, takes victory here. It is first start in gold. And that sends a message up to the drivers in front. Second place is Ramdani. Third will be Rip. Fourth, Kalpano in succession. And fifth is Iman Raya. Now then, rest of the field coming by. We had to watch over. Where was it? Here comes Velasquez. Velasquez around the outside. Takes it. Wow, wait. He takes Shaukat for P10. And he will start on pole position for race number 2. Shaukat comes across the line. He'll be quite disappointed. He didn't defend harder that time. But meanwhile, we're waiting for the... Oh, there's a bit of collision there.
It's like a last-minute hit after the bell, isn't it? Between the two.
A bit of afters, yeah.
A bit of afters there. But Velasquez has just gotten that 10 position from Rajamil Shaukat. So I can understand the frustration on this man. Meantime, though, for the silver class, here we go. The leader in the championship so far will stay in the lead after round 3, no doubt, because he's going to be coming way ahead of Felix Young to take the win here in the silver class. Felix Young takes a second. Adam Harriet follows behind him, but he is in the gold class. Sundoto will take third place in the silver class here. Lacambra in fourth and Shawn Michaels in fifth.
Yep, but again, Fawzal Ali with a commanding performance. Yes, you might say that he was well ahead, but he was only ahead by just a second of Felix Young. So Felix managed to reel him in the closing stages. I think he didn't push because he knows full well that he has the championship one hand on the trophy right now, making amends from last season's disappointment. He'll be a happy chappy in Sri Lanka. But also for Dominic Poon, he expressed a bit of frustration that he didn't have the best of results in silver. But if he actually joined gold earlier, you never know what kind of championship we fight would have had. But he showed his intent. Let's see how this will play out, especially with the 2 races we have remain, and maybe next season.
Exactly. Wow, this is going to make next season itself really exciting to see, especially when we're going to be having a sort of a revamp of the format. That's going to be being looked into by our current racing directors here for GE. So that's going to be something for you guys to keep an eye on as we proceed to run until the very end of this current championship right now. Global Edition 16, Global Class, Silver Class is now moving into the final phase here. Race number 2 is going to be coming up. Michael Vincent Velasquez, with a heroic last-minute action, has been able to get himself up into the pole position for race number 2. A very, very well-deserved one. He's going to have Cameron James for company there. In the meantime, Dominic Foon looks like he's going to have to try to do it all over again, but seeing the pace that he has had, I mean, he was, what, 7-8 seconds ahead of Kanzani Ramdani by the end of this race. That's a lot of pace that he has on hand, isn't it?
6.4 seconds to the good, so he didn't really have to worry about tire wear. As someone in the comments said, what sim is this? It's, on YouTube, it's a Santa Corsa.
Yep.
With a bit of custom shaders patching between to make the game look much better compared to its original form.
Yeah, exactly, and a few mods here and there, no less. But it is Assetto Corsa, the old game. I was gonna say
that keeps on giving.
It keeps on giving, indeed. I mean, it's been 10 long years that this game has been out, and it's been an absolute godsend as far as sim racing concerned, just from the flexibility of it. That's why we're able to have not just the GT4 cars, but even GT3 cars, and also currently the LMDH as well as LMP2 cars. It's a crazy amount of customization that can go on, and it's understandable sometimes because, like, we're talking about a game that's been around since, like, Skyrim.
If you put it that way, yes.
Yeah.
And Skyrim has been released multiple times since then.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas Santa Corsa has been brought into the modernized age by just mods and continuous support from the community. So really, then, it's a testament to the labor of love that a lot of people have put into making this game continue in its continued success. And hopefully, we still play it even when Santa Corsa if Evo comes out. Now then.
Race number 2.
Yeah.
Part 2 of this battle right now.
And Michael Vincent Velasquez will be feeling quite smug about it, knowing the fact that he dumped Raja Marishaka out of a potential pole position. And where is Raja? Well, he will be starting where he finished in the first race in P11. And you can see there is Velasquez's reaction to it. He's happy with the fact that he's up in front.
Yeah, looking all smiles there. 20 more seconds until the start. He will have the prime position here to take the first turn for sure, but he's also got Cameron James for company around the outside, so that's something to watch out for. But it's only if the Handshake Racing driver is going to be able to make the best of the start. And speaking of starts, we're off now for race number 2 here for Gold and Silver Class. Global Edition number 16 is go. Michael Vincent Velasquez, great start from him. He's able to cut in front of Cameron James all throughout, stays up in front of Chula Source. All these cars are going to be coming together very much side by side. Oh, one of the silver cars, Shunjoto, has spun around. He collected Ahmad Jusmin, who gets collected by another driver just behind him. Bit of chaos there on La Source, but the other front runners are still through. Ryan Mushin and Galani Haki are going to be fighting side by side in the meantime. Where is Ahmad Jusmin? Ahmad Jusmin ahead of Kanzani, and a bit of a kerfuffle. Our race winner from race 1 is now off the track here in the back of the grid.
Oh, wow, look at that. Cars everywhere, left, right, and center. Meanwhile, we're going to have to jump back out to the front here because Michael Vincent Velasquez has got the start that he wanted and stays ahead.
Yep, stays ahead of Cameron James by half a second. Galandi Haki in third place right now. Ryan Musin has dropped a place. He's now currently in fourth, and he's got Imran Ryan up, nipping his heels here. Raja Miyoshalka managed to make his way up into sixth place, so that's a fantastic start for him. He's now within a clutch here of a fourth place battle here as now Ryan Musin gets cut around the inside of Puhan. Imran Ryan trying his level best to stay alongside Ryan Musin. Ryan Musin trying to hang him out to dry, tries to close the door in front of him, and he does successfully successfully defend his 4th position, but only just. Iman Ryan's trying to have a peek on the inside. Ryan Musin says, no, 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 you're not getting through this time.
Not yet, at least, because Iman Ryan is looking the racier of the two youngsters. The 60-year-old versus the 40-year-old Malaysian Bruneian. Really, really close between the both of them as we are now coming up to the end of this first lap that has been quite chaotic, shall we say. It's per usual for the start of the season. It has been quite nitty-gritty, but the battles when we get the race underway, it's pretty good. As around the outside goes Iman Ryan. Does he make it stick? Yes, he does, but there is Ryan Musin holding on to it as well. As further up in front, Haki and James are going to fight it. We'll go back to them after this. So there goes Shaukat on the inside of Musin. And Musin goes to the pit lane because of a drive-through.
Yeah, that's just a shame there for Ryan Musin. But for Rajamil Shaukat, he's going to be able to continue to bring this battle to Iman Ryan. Cameron James, in the meantime, still about half a second away from Gerlani Haki. May not be close enough here in order to benefit off of a draft, getting onto the Camel Straight. Meantime, Muhammad Dafar is actually a lot closer to Alexis Capano there, so he will be able to take the toe and hopefully be able to try to fight him at the top end of Camel. He's already got a lot of momentum coming out of Radion, so maybe he might not even need to pass him on the corner. He might just pass right on the straight itself.
Acura versus Cadillac. This is between the two IMSA cars, of course, and look at that Dafar flight touch with Clapano, but Clapano hangs it tough around the outside, and he slightly just block passes him back to take P6 away from Duffer. All the while in Roy Rip, he hasn't had the best of starts either. He's still where he finished in that first race in P8.
Great comeback there from Clapano there. Almost a clapback, if you were, onto Dafar right in that moment. So Clapano stays in 6th place. Roy Rip now sensing an opportunity. Dafar rides on the curb, going a little bit slow. Rip goes way wide though, so he's not going to be able to capitalize on that too much, unfortunately. Stays in 8th position. Meantime, Muhammad Fawza Aleem in the silver class, continuing to stay ahead of Shawn Michaels. He's already, again, from the start, he was already in this position. Shawn Michaels has been able to close up the distance, as it were. He's already trying to catch up to him here inside of the silver class. In the meantime, I think Dafa has just been passed by Rip as well here. So another shift in positions here as Rip moves up into 7th place. While Dafar is trying to fight back here as he's still alongside Rip. Has to bring this fight all the way to the bus stop. He is still continuing to keep up momentum here. Braking hard. He's braking a little bit deeper here compared to Rip. Trying to catch Apex on the next turn, but Rip is still ahead and still confirms his 6th place.
Yeah, again,
7th place.
Yeah, good bit of driving from both of them, but you can tell Dafa was already so short by being on the outside. And sure enough, Rip gets the position here. Meanwhile, battle for the podium was actually intensifying between Cameron James, Iman Ryan, and Raja Amir Shaukat. So we're going to stay on board with Raja Amir Shaukat, whether or not he is going to be the beneficiary if both of them collide.
Yeah, I mean, again, considering where he started off versus where he is right now, he is doing a lot of recovery here just in terms of points. So this is going to help him a lot in the long run, especially as we get into the final round here. The gold class, of course, being a very competitive championship here as things flipped around a little bit, especially, Dominic Foon technically isn't in the running, but he unfortunately got dropped out here during the start of this race. So now it's Velasquez, Haki, and Cameron James right now up on the podium position for race number 2, but Rajamil Shaukat certainly would love to be able to join them.
Wow, look at that. Ryan, we saw just now how punchy he was with fighting Ryan Musin. He is not being phased as well by fighting another HSM driver. In this case, this is Cameron James holding on to P3. We saw how Cameron faded towards the end of that first race. I think probably because he's tired. He had to do a lot of driving today to go to the expo, the esports expo in Sarawak. Maybe he's not as race sharp as he should be, but he's putting up a real good fight here to stay up in the podium positions, fighting against a fellow Bornean in the form of Iman Ryan, who is quite punchy, as I said earlier. Really wants to show what he means business.
Oh man, love it. I'm loving this, every single second of this. A battle right for the podium position here, and you got Rajamil Shaukat ready to pick up the pieces in case something bad happens to the two of them in front. The Cadillac car versus the Toyota again. Oh, this is just absolute top of the line racing here in GE16.
Yep, and it's a mixed bag of drivers. Some are actually really on the top of their game. Some of them are really fighting for all their worth further behind. And in between that, some of those guys who are just really trying to get the podium here, and these guys are one of them. This is, again, viewing Cameron James, Iman Ryan, and Rajamiro Shaukat. But it looks as though Ryan might have actually gotten a good run out of the source. He's in the slipstream. He's in that magic window of 0.4 of a second to come up to the back of Cameron. Cameron, though, is actually going a bit defensive, but he's not going defensive enough here until coming out the late home and just blocks him from overtaking. All the while then, we're waiting for Raja what he's doing behind. We're now on board with Iman. How is he going to attack him? Because he's not only has to attack, but he also has to defend.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Cameron James is no slouch either in the racing department, so it's not going to be an easy target here for Iman Ryan. I mean, we saw how they were tussling in race 1 early on. This is practically round number 2 between these two Bornean drivers going to Puhan right now. I think Iman Ryan is playing it correctly here by just staying as close as possible to Cameron James, because again, he cannot afford to deviate too much, because too much of that will put Rajamiro Shaukat in a perfect position to punch up onto him. So again, he has to play this very tactically right now. There's still 7 minutes to go in this race here. He can still potentially try to find more opportunities as the race comes to a close. Cannot afford to lose this opportunity right here, because it's just on the cusp of taking a podium position, and the last thing he wants is just come into contact, you know, with either Raja or Cameron and end up spinning out. And we've seen time and time again how like a simple mistake like that can just completely ruin your chances of gaining any points.
Indeed, and again, it's a measure of whether or not discretion is the better part of valor. It's the best thing to put it, isn't it? As somebody who's not actually putting discretion at the better part of valor is Iman Ryan. He's again looking so absolutely racy. He's quite antsy right now behind Cameron James, because he knows full well that second place is not that far ahead either, with Galani Haki just within arm's reach. Now we're coming up to Oruj and Radion again up to Lake Home. What's he going to do here, Vic?
I don't know. I think it's going to try the same thing he did early on, which was just take the draft off of Cameron James and hopefully try to outbrake him earlier into the corner. So it's going to take around the outside once again. And, you know, you mentioned just Haki, you know, in second place just being close by. But I think from Iman Ryan's perspective, it seems like Haki is getting further and further away.
Whoa!
Good cut off
What a
inside,
move!
and what a move there from Iman Ryan. Since I was waxing lyrical, he just made a move of moves there on Cameron James. Takes up in the third place nice and cleanly.
Wow, wait. Not only did he get a move done around the outside brilliantly, he actually just blocked past Cameron, and in turn, just the domino effect knocks onto Rajamiro Shaukat and Kaplano to actually be close to each other. So that is a 2-3-4-1. It actually benefited him big time.
Big time there. And Iman Ryan now has like a clear bit of track ahead of him before he gets into Gerlandi Haki, so he's on the chase here. Cameron James can only hang on behind here, while Rajamiro Shaukat has more problems behind here. As Alexis Clapano here, he's shown himself to be very racy in race number 1. He's certainly going to be bringing a lot of those moves later on onto Rajamiro Shaukat. 5.5 minutes, I should say, remaining in this race.
Yep, we can go now to some battles further behind. We saw Ramdani, he was only about half a second behind his fellow countryman Aryadi Vishnu. There he is right now. Let's see what he can do. And we will jump to the battle between the LMP2 guys in silver, because it was quite close for the podium. In fact, Priyanata is only about 0.7 of a second behind Nazmir Aslan, and Shawn Michaels at one point was also behind Nazmir. So Nazmir, in terms of race pace, is fading a bit. We'll get into them pretty soon, and it looks as though this battle has been rescinded, as well as between Sampurna Dianto and Hamad Yusmin. Now we can jump back to the silver class.
As we see now, Priyanata, as you mentioned, he was very close to Nazmir Aslan. He's looking to try to get a podium here for silver class, and yes, that's Nazmir Aslan in third place right now for silver, and Priyanata is only half a second behind, which means that this could be the battle here for the silver class. So getting closer and closer as he navigates his way through the bus stop. Nazmir looking a little bit slow, taking a slightly wider line there in the first part of the bus stop, but both these cars are still going to be filing single file line onto the main straight, so not much of an advantage gained there for Priyanata. Nakambra, though, is just waiting in the wings. He's currently running in that 5th position and not too far away from this third place battle, so perhaps he might be another one to watch out for.
Indeed, let's see how this will play out right now, because onto the Camel Straight, it's in equal machinery, so it will be the difference between how the drivers took a corner prior to that and how much of a drive they can get out of there to force a maneuver. In this case, Nazmir is just able to inch out just a bit ahead of Priyanatha, who will no doubt be trying to size him up wherever he can to see where is Nazmir weaker so that he could get an advantage to overtake. Meantime though, as this battle's brewing, another one's brewing up in front, this time between the two Toyotas of Rajamil Shakat and Cameron James. Cameron then, after losing the third place to Iman Ryan, has to defend hard here because they were in that little gaggle. Now it's just become a gaggle of 3 instead of 4.
Yeah, and there's also a 3-way battle going on right now for that 9th spot. And that's going to be for the last bit of points there, really. Rajamil Shaukat has a little bit of a peek on the inside. Cameron James decides not to go for that dive here. Instead, he's going to try to draft him through the main straight and perhaps carry forward that momentum onto the camel straight. So this is a perfect position right now, and this could be the time to strike here for Rajamil Shaukat. Just needs to get a good exit come out of the source. Both of these cars doing very well to stay on the line. Both of them on equal machinery, mind you. Both of them on Toyotas here. So it's not really much differential in terms of car performance here that either can rely on. It's going to be all pure skill between these two drivers. Taking the Radeon curve nice and tidy there. Rajamil Shaukat needs to find that magic 4 tenths a second. He's already 2 tenths a second behind Cameron James. He can certainly get the momentum now. Whoa! Peak. Oh, it swings around into the inside and tries to cut off Cameron James. Cameron has to clatter his way through the inside there. May have to back out of this. Rajamil Shaukat flashes his light. Cameron James lets him through, but Alexis Clapano looks like he wants to try to pick up a place. He does pick up the place ahead of Cameron James.
Well, Cameron is the biggest loser out of all of that. He lost 2 positions in just one fell swoop, but it looks as though he will argue that Raja might have actually dived on the inside out of surprise, but I think it's just a fair enough maneuver because he left on the inside. Hook, line, sinker. He literally just baited him to go outside, but then he actually goes onto the inside.
You know, if you guys want to see a little bit more about the story of not just Rajamil Shaukat, but also Nakib Aslan, there's a great video that's up on the Toyota Gazoo Racing Malaysia YouTube channel that talks about their experiences going from sim racing into real racing. And Raja has been one of those who's really honed his craft here inside of sim racing alone. So it's definitely not an easy customer to deal with here, especially for Cameron James, who also has been working his way up in the sim, both in the sim world as well as the real world.
And mind you, he comes from the off-road circles because he's a rally star, because he was going into the FIA finals as a rally star, though. We'll talk about that later, because right now Capano on the outside. Wow! Another one! And they go side by side here. They touch each other. Would you believe it? Rajamil Shaukat gets done at the same corner again by a Filipino as well, of all things. Velasquez did it. This time it's Capano.
Wow, this is just incredible racing we're seeing here, and the gold class as well here. Well done to Clapado. He has been waiting all race long for this opportunity. 2 places in the space of 2 laps here, and we're already at the final 30 seconds. This could be the end right now. Iman Ryan, though, he is not done after having dispatched Rajamil Shaukat, Cameron James, and now he's going to be putting his sights onto Gerlandi Haki in its dying moments of our race number 2.
Wow, if we ever could put a driver of the day, I think Iman Ryan should be driver of the day, because he's pulled off amazing maneuvers and he's driven against drivers maybe even twice his age and just done them for dead. He left them for dead in terms of how he could just pull off amazing overtakes. If he could only just qualify well, he could have been right up there amongst the best of them. But instead, he had to fight for all he's worth, and he's done so in spades here. Now, can he do Gerlandi Haki on the final lap to take a 2nd place away and spoil what could be a Lamborghini 1-2? Though they're not part of the same team, but for Velasquez and Haki, they would love to stay this way, because I think they're part of the same team. Velasquez is part of, he's part of NPRGP, but whatever it is, he will not want to give out 2nd place that easily.
No, he will not. And, you know, you were mentioning the driver of the day here. I mean, another nominee I'd like to put forward is maybe Velasquez, because remember, he cut off Rajamil Shaukat in race number 2 to take that pole position for race number 2 by virtue of finishing 10th, and he's already converted that into a race lead that he has been able to hold ever since, being able to cut past most of everyone from the start.
Here comes Iman!
No, tries to go for the dive, but I don't think there was enough speed there for him. But now Michael Vincent Velasquez will be taking the check checkered flag first in race number 2. Galani Haki takes second. Iman Ryan has to take a respectable third place, and what a third place he has been here for the Bruneian. Alexis Glapano, having successfully dispatched Raja Milshak and Cameron James, finishes ahead of both of those cars, 4th, 5th, and 6th respectively. Muhammad Dafa will take the 7th spot, and Roy Numeri Parip, the championship leader after round number 2, takes 8th position here, ahead of Kanzani Ramdani, ahead of Samporna Dianto, and ahead of Ahmad Jusmin.
Yep, now we get to set our sights on the race leader, and he actually had a close gap at one point, only about 2 seconds ahead of Shawn Michaels, but he turned up the wick in the final few laps here by going up ahead and just dominated all, making it a double, and if you include the qualifying triple, because he got pole position, wins race 1 and wins race 2 to make it yet another treble.
My goodness, I mean, again, it's been a grand slam, hasn't it, here for a lot of the Sim Racing Lanka guys. I mean, they've already dominated the bronze class, and they're now dominating the silver class here in the form of Muhammad Fauzo Alim here. Great racing we're seeing here in GE16. Shawn Michaels will finish in 2nd place, just only a very close finish between the two. Nasmir Aslan finishes in that 3rd place, and Alonso Lacambra will finish in that 4th place here for the silver class, and Priyanata takes up that 5th spot. Whew, that's...
Whoa, we need to take our breaths now.
I know.
And the rest of the field will come by to finish up. There's the rest of the silver class. But, again, Velasquez, because of that maneuver on Rajami Chaka, made his entire round. He literally had the opportunity to win it, and he made it quite well, whereas Raja is left to rue what could have been.
And also, I just want to give an honorable mention to Dominic Foon, because when we saw him last, he kind of crashed out just close to the start and ended up all the way to the back of the grid. He somehow managed to make his way up to 12th, which is pretty respectable. Granted, a lot of silver cars in between, but he managed to finish ahead of Ryan Mushin. He managed to finish ahead of Vishnu, and that's despite the fact that he crashed out at the start of the race.
And he was amongst the silver guys where he crashed out. Someone in the comments said, "Faster for the win." Indeed.
Yeah, indeed.
Another double, another treble, because he did that in the very first round where he won. He got pole, won both races. Same story here. Got pole, won both races. He should be in gold by next season for sure. He's just absolutely killing it out there.
Well, this is gonna make things very interesting going forwards. I mean, with Dominic Food now inside the gold class and already putting up quite an impressive performance here in his debut in this class here for this season. It's going to be a crazy next season here for the Global Edition, especially with the format changes and whatnot. It's quite hard. It's not that hard to see that Dominic might be a big factor in the next time around. But congratulations to Michael Vincent Velasquez taking that race number 2 here. A very well-deserved win there, and just in the nick of time as well, if you consider the way he managed to get that position there, which was literally cutting off Raja Milshaka at the very end of race number 1 to take that coveted 10th spot.
Yeah, Raja was quite miffed about that afterwards. You can tell when they crossed the start-finish line. Yep, he got done. He got done there, absolutely, unequivocally, by a driver who was mashing him all the way, and he got done again for a 2nd straight time with Kalpana doing the same thing. But I think you live and you learn. We were waxing lyric about him going through sim racing to real life. That's another lesson that he takes along the way.
Indeed. And for now, though, we're going to be taking a short break. We'll maybe coming back later on if we can find someone to interview here. Hopefully, we might get some few words from Michael Vincent Velasquez. But nevertheless, we'll be taking a short break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Pewter is about possibilities. It is an idea made real. Crafted with precision. It can make tradition timeless. Pewter evolves. When allowed to be free, it can captivate you. Pewter is our legacy, and we're keeping the legacy alive. Royal Selangor, since 1885.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're back in the ERGP here. We've got Michael Vincent Velasquez in the booth with us. Michael, incredible performance there. I mean, how are you feeling right about now?
I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock from the race too. I was expecting like the previous winners, like P1, P2, and P3 from race 1 to like catch up. But I was surprised when I saw Gerlandi Haki still in P2 with like around the same gap-ish, 3 seconds-ish. So yeah, I was just chatting with stream, and then 15 minutes passed by, and I'm still in shock. I can't believe I'm still in P1 for race 2.
Again, it's crazy to think how you managed to get in that position in the first place, because like you fought very, very hard with Rajamir Shaka to the end of race number 1 there to just take that 10th position. I mean, could you tell us a little bit more about that battle from your perspective?
Pretty much. I thought I was like a lost hope in P12, not scoring any points and just staying at P12 for race 2. But then suddenly P10 and P11 start battling each other. So there was hope. And then I overtook for P11 around just the end of Sector 1, like the downhill hairpin. And then we had the gap to P10 was 0.9. I was like, push it. And I think he just made a mistake or a bad exit out of Stabilo. And I had to make a dive around the outside. Just go all in. It's all or nothing from that point on. And we made it work. Yeah. It was worth the risk.
Oh, this is the epitome of like high risk, high reward, isn't it here? I mean, wow. I mean, now we're going to be coming into the final round here. I mean, now that we've seen like what most of the competition here has to offer, like how do you feel now going into the final round of this championship?
I know my raw pace is still lacking behind. At least, now I have a benchmark. I've seen, I forgot what P1 was, but that was like a crazy lap time. I've never achieved that in my practice runs. That was 1 second. What? Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, almost
faster than what I did. 217. 157 point something. But that was insane.
Yeah.
So I'm still lacking there. But racecraft wise, I know I can make up positions with my racecraft. Hopefully. Make less contact. I apologize to someone in race 1. But yeah, I'm confident in my racecraft, and I know that I can make up positions for my time position.
Well, again, congratulations on putting off a stellar performance here in round number 3. Anything you'd like to share with our viewers here at home? I'll just open up the floor for you. Go ahead and do your shout outs, or anyone you'd like to thank, for your performance here.
All right, yeah, so shout out to Track Esports. There we go. Track Esports. So yeah, this one's for you. Also to Stream Chat, I was also streaming for, so you guys are on the stream, hi there. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you so much, Michael Vincent Velasquez, for joining us here, and wish you best of luck going forwards here. We're going to be going to the final round here in Global Edition 16, so get excited, guys. It's going to be an epic end here to the season. All right, so thank you very much for Michael to join us in that interview, and that's it. That's going to be the end of our festivities as we were here on this Friday the 13th. Any kind of last thoughts you'd like to share here, Amo, before we go?
I forgot that he actually drove for Track Esports because he was part of NPR GP from Endurance last year. But now he actually joins the burgeoning Track Esports team where they actually have their own colors, which is the yellow and black, which makes it very distinct. So it's almost like the 90s to early 2000s Jordan F1 team where they had the very colorful BNH yellow. So again, I didn't say NPR just now. Sorry for the Track Esports guys. You have the right guy over there to represent you in gold. He really is fast. Even if he did say earlier, he still likes to be a raw pace, but I think he'll get there in no time for sure.
No, I mean, again, it's all about the race. Qualifying is just literally half the battle. The other half is, finishing the race in that first place, isn't it? And Michael Velasquez has pulled it off in race number 2 here. So fantastic work for him, and great racing all around. I mean, from the copper all the way up until gold, we've seen improvements this time around, a lot cleaner. In certain cases, there's still a little bit shenanigans, but that's to be expected.
It is. But the thing is, what really saved it was when Michael went around the outside of Raja. That saved his entire round.
Yeah.
Not only did he take that 10th place to start on pole, but he also converted that to the win afterwards. If it happened to Raja, he would have done the same thing. He would have probably won that second race too. So he saved it out of the fire and into, well, not into the frying pan, but out of the fire and into the safe haven. Safely say, because he literally just got it from the brink.
Yeah, out of the frying pan into the brick oven, perhaps. Anyways, thank you everyone who joined us here today. Great interactions having on in chat here. Great support here from Sim Racing Lanka. I think I saw their official account actually inside the chat there. So thank everyone here for joining us and supporting us in Global Edition. We're going to be coming back again with our final round, and we also got tomorrow the Endurance Edition for ERGP, so make sure you guys tune in for that. That's going to be tomorrow morning, starting around 11 o'clock.
Well, 12 o'clock, yeah.
12 o'clock, yeah. The race started at 12 o'clock, so make sure you guys tune in here. So on that note, make sure you subscribe to our channel here. This is the YouTube channel as well as Facebook. This is where we live stream all of our races, and also follow us on our social medias, where we're going to be giving you guys the official results and also inform you guys of future events to come in the ERGP. So until then, my name is Victor Cax. Joining me here is Ammo. We've been your commentators here for round number 3 of Global Edition 16, and we'll see you guys on December the 20th for the final round of GE16. So thank you all for watching. See you around for the next one.